1 miles per hour. Beside him, Bill Elliott in a Ford. In row 2, Jeff Bodine and defending NASCAR champion Darrell Waltrip. Row 3, from Fitchburg, Massachusetts, Ron Bouchard, and California's Joe Ruttman. In row 4, it's Ashland, Ohio's Tim Richmond and the Bandit, Harry Gant. In row 5, the 5-time winner of the event, Cale Yarborough, Timminsville, South Carolina, and the 4-time winner, David Pearson, Spartanburg, South Carolina. In row 6, Benny Parsons of Elliott, North Carolina, a former winner here in Morgan Shepherd. In row number 7, Buddy Baker, also a previous winner, and Ricky Rudd. Row number 8 is Dale Earnhardt and Bobby Allison, currently number 1 on the NASCAR Grand National Tour, winner of 3 events this year. Row number 9, Mark Martin of Indiana, and formerly from Porterville, California, Richard Brooks. In row number 10, it's Richard Petty, the all-time NASCAR champion with 197 wins, and Neil Bonnet, car number 75 winner of the World 600 at Charlotte. And the rest of the starting field. In row 11, it's Buddy Arrington and the great Midwestern champion Bob Seneker out of Michigan. In row 12, Kyle Petty and a leading rookie, Ronnie Hopkins. Moving to row 13, Bobby Wowak, who's here for the first race in '69, rookie Trevor Boyd. Row 14, D.K. Ulrich and the leading rookie of the year, Sterling Marlin. In row 15, Dave Marcus and J.D. McDuffie. Row 16, Lake Speed and Ronnie Thomas. In row 17, it's Rick Baldwin and Jimmy Means. Row 18, it's going to be Steve Moore and Tom Sneva in the 18th row. And then out back, in a provisional starter role, it is Tommy Gale of McKeesport, Pennsylvania.
So, a provisional starter role is that NASCAR permits any car owner that is in the top 25 in the point standings to choose, if he doesn't make the field, at least twice during the year, that he can choose to start in the rear of the field.
There you see the field rolling out. For a moment, you saw Bobby Allison as he gets set to go here. Allison, who has tasted victory in this Michigan 400. Tremendous crowd is out, as always. The man who built this track, Charles Montepenny, 87 years old. We understand he's watching this event in California today. And a special Father's Day wish from everyone at CBS to you as we prepare for 400 miles, 200 laps of competition today. Everyone rolling off pit road. Looks like we're off for a full 37-field start in the Michigan 400. Stand by for the green flag. There you see the track analysis of the Michigan International Raceway. And right now, I believe we're ready to talk to one of our in-car camera drivers, Cale Yarborough, in car number 28. Cale, do you hear us? Cale Yarborough, Ken Squire, can you hear us? Trying to get in contact with Cale Yarborough out there cruising around on the first of 2 preliminary laps to the 400 miles that will be run. Only once has it gone all the way under green. Let's try one more time. Hello, Cale Yarborough. This is Ken Squire. Do you read it?
Go ahead, Ken. Loud and clear.
How about that car today? Everything all right on the number 28?
Well, it looks pretty good, Ken. The car ran good in practice yesterday, and it's a little bit cooler today, so it looks like it's going to be for a good race.
Cale, Ned Jarrett has a question for you.
Cale, the track conditions are a little different. Of course, you're going around very slow out there now. What are your thoughts?
Well, just making sure everything is turned on, all my coolers and everything is turned on, and just getting ready for the start, Ned. You know, you're thinking about what the car's going to do, how it's going to handle, and hope it handles well all day. That's the key to this place.
Live, CBS, flag-to-flag coverage of the Michigan 400. You're listening to Cale Yarborough, who starts in the 9th position on the inside of row number 5. No one has ever won this race from further back than 8.
Neil Bonnet will be starting back there in the 20th position. He has a job ahead of him, and we can talk to him now, Ken.
Let's try to reach car number 75, the Warner Hodgson machine. Neil Bonnet, are you with us today?
Ken Squire, I got a real good copy. The thing's coming in real good.
All right, you're about a half lap away from a start. What's going through your mind right now as you prepare for that green flag to be unfurled?
Ken, I'm in a position here starting back in the field. I'm going to have to be very aggressive, but also very cautious with this many cars. I'm going to try on the start of this race to get out of some of this traffic and get to the front as quick as possible.
Neil Bonnet, this is Ned Jarrett. We've heard about butterflies in the stomach of athletes before the start of a major event. How about you?
Sorry, Ned, this thing's fixing to be a lot of fun. There's no butterflies. There's a lot of anticipation, but it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, they're ready. They're in the back straightaway, up to about 75 miles an hour, just cruising right now. And you're back in Neil Bonnet's car. You saw Richard Petty down on the inside of him. Right directly in front of him is Richard Brooks in car number 90. Field coming around and preparing for a start. The pace car ready to drop off. The front row, Terry Labonte and Bill Elliott, both at over 161 miles per hour. As Mike Joy pointed out to you, 4 different makes of cars in the front 2 rows. Here they are, out of turn number 4. It's a very wide racetrack, Ned.
And this lets them do a lot of drafting. We will see 12, 15-car drafts in, I'm sure, once the green flag drops. They're ready to go.
All right. Harold Kinder has the flag in hand, and the honorary starter for today is about to put the green out. That is Bill Steele, the Vice President of Gabriel Shock Absorber Company, for which the race is named. There's the break. And into turn number 1.
Surprisingly, Bonnet got a good jump on the start.
Clearing traffic, and here's Neil Bonnet fighting his way down underneath Richard Petty. Look at Bonnet trying to come up through. Back straightaway for the first time. Back with Neil Bonnet. Gets under Mark Martin.
Terry Labonte now with about a 5-car length lead. That is surprising, especially as well as the draft works here, but it won't take them long to catch up.
Jeff Bodine runs in the second position. Bodine maintaining second. Elliott has dropped to third. Bouchard is in fourth. There was a 4-car shunt in late practice yesterday that bothered Bouchard. He was one of the 4, but his car is fine today, as is Allison, who was in that Daily yesterday. Down the main straightaway for the first time, the first of 200 laps complete. And Neil Bonnet is on a charge. There you see him, car number 75 under Mark Martin. He's going after Ricky Rudd in car number 3.
He's already moved up to the 15th position, going after the 14th now. He said he would try to move to the front, and he's a charger.
Remember, he started 20th. And there you see that bundle of cars. There's Petty at number 43. And right behind him comes Neil Bonnet. Bonnet goes to the outside and takes a look. Ricky Rudd is there as they go down into turn number 3.
But Ken, as he gets closer to the front, the competition will get tougher for him to pass.
You don't want to stay out back, get a lap down here, and you have a problem on this track. So they're trying to stay up there.
Bodine has caught Labonte. It didn't take long to pick up the draft, and Rod Bouchard running in 3rd place. He's in the yellow car. Now, Cale Yarborough has moved up to 4th already. He started in the 9th position.
Cale Yarborough in 4th. Waltrip is in 5th. 6th position is Joe Ruttman. Buddy Baker is in 7th. Coming up to 8th is Tim Richmond.
The draft of the front 3 cars, so he'll be moving in very quickly on it.
Cale Yarborough, who's won it, and you can hear him. He really talks to that car. He moans with it.
He becomes a part of the car once he straps himself in there.
Down the main straightaway. This is a dog leg that banks about 5 degrees here. Fastest part of the racetrack, about 175 miles per hour into turn number 1. There's your leader, Terry Labonte. Savage crash in Riverside, California, the last race of 1982. Broke a leg. He's been trying to gather his forces back up. Battle for 2nd place. Bouchard is attacking Bodine out of turn number 2, the yellow car. On the inside is Ron Bouchard of Pittsburgh, Massachusetts, against an old war horse, also from the Northeast, Jeff Bodine. And Bouchard is taking 2nd.
He won the pole for this event a year ago, Ken. They've had some trouble this year in getting that team together. David Iff, the crew chief, but here comes Bodine right back on the inside.
And Cale Yarborough right behind them. Meanwhile, drawing away goes Terry Labonte. Now it's 3 wide in the main straightaway. Cale Yarborough down the inside. And there's Yarborough passing the cars that were running 2nd and 3rd. Cale Yarborough now into 2nd place, and he drags with him car number 11, Darrell Waltrip.
As these cars race for position 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, that's working to the advantage of Terry Labonte. He's able to pull away.
Waltrip plunging into 3rd position. Waltrip into 3rd, and it's side by side for 4th, Bodine and Bouchard.
Here's Bodine making a move on the inside. Bouchard once again.
That is the battle for 4th position. Bouchard and Bodine. Bouchard in the yellow car, the white and green car. Jeff Bodine, the Cliff Stewart prepared car. To the line, completing 5 of the 200 laps. Labonte first. Cale Yarborough in 2nd and on the move. Meanwhile, out back, car number 75, Neil Bonnet, holding there.
Yes, he has, Tim. As a matter of fact, he has lost a few positions. Now he's dropped back to 19th position. As we said, that competition gets a little heavier as he tried to move up through the pack. There's Benny Parsons directly in front of him in car number 55.
Meanwhile, a battle for second place, and as they go down into turn number 2, there's Neil Bonnet's car. As you see him back there in 19th from both inside and outside the car.
But the fact that he's running 19th, Ken, he's only about a second behind the leader. Here's Benny Parsons going high, and Bonnet going to the inside, and he made that move work very nicely. So that's proof that maybe this track is working better today. He was able to stick down on the inside.
6 laps complete. Only one race has been run all the way under green, this Michigan 400. That in 1973 was won by David Pearson, and the race was so competitive that even though there were no caution flags, Buddy Baker was just about a second away at the finish of that event. Back straightaway, there's your battle, and here comes Waltrip in the Junior Johnson car, again attacking Cale Yarborough.
Waltrip has been playing somewhat of a wait-and-see game in the early stages of races here in the past, or at least to this point of the season, but today he's putting on the Chargers role.
Number 44, Chevrolet out in front. 8 laps complete for Labonte. Second place, Waltrip, dropping to third. Yarborough in fourth for Dine. Then in the 5th spot, Bouchard, with the 6th spot, Rutman. Let's get a report from the pits. Here's Larry Newber.
Well, the guy that everybody's eyes have been on has been Neil Bonnet. Now, Butch, this is Neil's crew chief, Butch Mott. Neil made a big jump with the drop of the green flag. Now he's slipped back a little bit. Any reasons why?
No, our chassis is a little tight right now. We're going to be real good as the race goes on. I think the majority of the cars here this week have been real loose. And Neil just come on the radio and said we're a little tight. And I think we're going to be in real good shape.
Neil Bonnet says everything is in working order, Ken and Ned.
And what they mean when they say the chassis is a little tight, that means the back end is sticking a little bit tighter than the front end, but that's a good position to be in, particularly working the draft.
Yarborough has fallen back to 5th. Labonte is first. Waltrip is in second. Bodine running third, and you see them now into turn number 1. We've got a real scramble. 3 wide into the first turn. Back to Labonte, your leader. Then in the second place, it is Waltrip. And that 3-way scramble breaks up a bit with Bodine back into third. Bouchard to fourth. Cale Yarborough falling back a bit. He's in 5th position with Joe Rutman in 6th.
Waltrip is beginning to close in on the front runner. There's Bodine's car number 88. But Darrell Waltrip is now reeling in Terry Labonte. Labonte had got out to about a 1-second lead, but you can see Waltrip now as he comes off of turn 4, he is moving in fast.
I think we need a report on Yarborough. He's running high. He doesn't seem to have quite the handle he might want. And there's cars getting underneath him here. Here's Rutman in number 98 taking a shot at Yarborough. You can see him there in the back of the picture coming around. That is Joe Rutman from California on the inside, and on the outside is Cale Yarborough.
Cale's car is definitely not working in the turns. You saw him go high as he went into that turn. The key here is to be able to keep the car low on the racetrack, particularly when you're trying to grab another car.
10 laps down, 190 to go when they come by this time. Richard Petty is on a bit of a charge, 2 out of the back.
And here's Waltrip. He has caught Terry Labonte. Let's see if he makes a move for the lead.
Turn 4.
2 Chevrolets battling here. Waltrip knows that he can get a 5-point bonus if he takes the lead, and he would like to do that early.
All eyes on those leaders in turn 1. Waltrip getting closer. Ron Bouchard maintaining third. There's Waltrip down to the inside. Waltrip going after Terry Labonte. Back straight away, it is still Terry Labonte maintaining that lead. He said that he thought this might be the race that turned everything around for him. He took the pole. Again, Waltrip to the inside, and look at that Junior Johnson car work, Ned.
Tim, that car is really handling. When he can go into the turns that fast, stay down on the low side of the racetrack, that means that it's working. He and the crew really worked hard and long here yesterday, up to the last minute of practice, making changes on that car, and it looks like it's paying off.
Again, the young Texan is back out in front, however. Remember, he was leading the point standing battle a year ago when they came into this race. He fell back dramatically at the end and had that awful crash at the end of the year. This year he's currently 10th in points, and it has not been a good year for him, but he said yesterday he thought they could turn it all around. Waltrip is still in the second spot. 11 laps are complete. Bouchard is maintaining the third position. Fourth is Bodine. Fifth is Yarborough. Sixth is Rutman.
Inman is the crew chief on Terry Labonte's car. And here's Waltrip doing it the hard way, passing on the outside. He couldn't do it on the inside, so he thought he'd try the high side, but that isn't going to work this time.
We might mention that David Pearson is back in the 7th position, and he's right up there behind Rutman now. David Pearson is into 7th. Terry Gann is in 8th. Earnhardt is in 9th. Bobby Allison is in 10th. And running in the 15th position is Neil Bonnet with our second seat. There he is right behind Richard Petty, who is running in the 14th spot. They've been battling since the very beginning, and Bonnet can't get by Petty. There goes number 44, Terry Labonte down the inside. And he gets underneath, but can't quite get by. Waltrip stays in front.
He had to back off when he approached the turns. That car is not working quite as well as Waltrip's car is.
Quick report from the pits. Here's Mike Joy.
Waddell Wilson, Cale Yarborough's crew chief. Is that car handling like you'd like it to?
Well, it's a little loose right now. As soon as we come in and make a pit stop, we'll tighten it up. Then I feel we'll be okay.
At this moment, Waltrip has won 4 Grand National races to date this year. He's won 55 races in his career, but all the races this year, Ned, have been on half-mile tracks. He hasn't won in a super speedway this year.
No, he has not, and that's something that bothers he and Junior Johnson, his car owner. He wants to rectify that situation. Maybe that's why he's charging so early here today.
J.D. McDuffie had the hood up, and now he's coming back on the track. Sanford, North Carolina's J.D. McDuffie coming back in as you're watching live CBS flag-to-flag coverage of the Michigan 400. Don't forget, next on CBS Sports Sunday today, the WBA Junior Middleweight Championship. Roberto Duran's dramatic bid for his 3rd world title. CBS Live sports coverage of the Michigan 400 will continue after these commercial messages and a word from your local station. You're watching Darrell Waltrip in front with 17 laps complete in the Michigan 400. They've averaged 156 miles per hour through the first 20 miles. Tom Sneven just moments ago spun down the back straightaway, but it did not bring out a caution flag.
He got completely off of the pavement, Ken, and you can see once he hits the grass, he has a hard time controlling the car, but he does a good job of it. He's on pit road now as he brought it in to check those tires out.
Let's go to Larry Newber.
Bay Darnell, the crew chief and the proprietor of the car that Tom Sneven is in here this weekend. What did Tom say about the spin, Bay?
He got it straightened out all right, and it's stuck in 2nd gear right now. He must have jammed it in there too hard when he was getting straightened down.
Did something happen to the race car, or was Tom just trying to go too fast?
He was trying to go too fast. He said on the radio that was pushing. It was so loose yesterday, he tightened it up. I guess we tightened it up too much. We did it just what he wanted, but it would have been, it'll be better on later in the race.
Well, Bay Darnell himself, a driver of many years, and they're working hard to make this car go to Tom Sneven's liking.
In an effort to cut down on some of the really titanic costs of motorsports, this event is run in 2 days. All practice and qualifying are on Saturday, and they race on Sunday, and a lot of these people need a caution right now because they're still making adjustments, man.
Yes, they are, Kim, particularly since there is different track conditions today than what they had yesterday, plus the fact that it's some 15 degrees cooler, and that makes a different track conditions as well as the way that the car will run and drive. And then you take a fellow like Tom Sneven, coming from being used to driving a 1,500-pound automobile with a tremendous amount of power, put him in a 3,700-pound car with a little amount of practice. You can understand why it's easy for it to get away from him.
There you see Darrell Waltrip leading the event, working the 19th lap or 20th lap at the present time, and there's the battle for 2nd place, Terry Labonte, and right with him is Ron Bouchard, and Neil Bonnet has moved by Richard Petty.
He had been battling with him since the green flag come out. And here's Tom Sneven going slow on the backstretch. He's not getting that car up to speed. Maybe that transmission is not working right yet.
The leader, Darrell Waltrip. Let's take a look at what Cale Yarborough's looking at. Right now he's trying to stay up with Bobby Allison in the car number 22.
Well, Allison started back in the 16th position, so his car is working well. He has already passed Cale Yarborough, who at one time had moved up to 2nd position, but he's dropping back a little now.
Allison, fresh from victory at Pocono, Pennsylvania, just last Sunday. His 3rd win of the season was scored on that 2.5-mile track at Pocono, Pennsylvania. Tom Sneven back on pit road, and that looks like it could be terminal.
Yes, it could be. They said that we're having transmission problems, as Larry Nuber reported. Apparently, he could not get the thing in the 4th gear, and you can't run around out here at 160 miles an hour in 3rd gear.
Well, after winning Indianapolis, misfortune continuing to dog Tom Sneva. His win at Michigan disallowed, and now problems here at Michigan. Let's go to Larry Nuber.
Well, so far, no one has climbed inside. Now we have a crew member inside checking in that transmission problem, discussing with Tom, making a precautionary change of the tires on the left side. They were unable to get all the tires changed they wanted the first time that they were in.
21 laps are now complete. Leader continues to be number 11, Darrell Waltrip. In the 2nd position, Terry Labonte running 3rd is Bouchard in the 4th position. And on the move is Terry Gant. The Bandit is up in 4th. 5th position, Bodine. Battle again is on for 2nd position going into turn 1.
Ron Bouchard is running very strong. He passed his Terry Labonte, it looked like, with ease there, and he did it on the inside. So like Waltrip's car, that means that it's working very well when he can hold it down on the inside. He passes one of the lap cars and moves right away.
Ron Bouchard, who won that incredible Talladega 500 on CBS a couple of seasons back. He's had a miserable year thus far. Right now, he's being able to stay right up with the leaders. Drawing away from everyone at this point, however, is this man, Darrell Waltrip, in car number 11.
And Ken, I'm sure that he's as surprised as we are, because normally they say in a 12 to 15 car bunch here as they draft each other. But again, I don't think we can emphasize too much that the track conditions are different today. Once they come in and make adjustments on those cars, they will be running closer together.
About the biggest advantage we've seen anyone have here. He seems to have just hit the right combination, and Waltrip is beginning to really walk on this race. He is pulling away by 2 or 3 car lengths per lap.
Here's Bobby Walwack, who is getting right next to Tom Sneva as they continue to work on Sneva's car. Now Walwack is in for an unscheduled stop. This is certainly too early. They can go about 45 to 50 laps here on this track before they would have to come in for a scheduled stop.
It's been all green thus far. The only incident was Tom Sneva sliding off the 2nd turn. It did not bring out a yellow flag. And to date, Darrell Waltrip has been the major story. Waltrip just pulling away from the field. Battle for 2nd place now has Ron Bouchard running in front of Terry Labonte. Earlier, we had an opportunity to talk with Darrell Waltrip about this track and the conditions here. This is what he told us.
This track is low bank. It has severe winters where the surface takes a punishment. It's almost white. It's weathered so badly, and therefore we don't get the traction on this racetrack that we would like to get for good, safe side-by-side racing.
He seems to want to get around any side-by-side racing by just flat getting away from the field.
And he's getting traction right now. That car is really working. I'll tell you, that's a real tribute to not only Darrell Waltrip and his knowledge of an automobile, but also to Junior Johnson and the rest of that crew. They anticipated what the conditions would be here today, set the car up accordingly, and they fixed it right.
They're estimating 70,000 are here watching this confrontation, and right now Bouchard, back in 2nd place, is beginning to feel some heat from Terry Labonte. Labonte in the 3rd position, beginning to pull up. Now, Bill run nose to tail. They would stand a chance in that of overhauling Waltrip, but they can't start running side by side, or he'll just say good night.
2 cars that are working properly can hook up together in a draft and run faster than one car can run by itself. But Labonte's car, as we saw earlier, simply isn't working that well in the draft, so they just don't have that advantage.
156.182 mile an hour average through the first 20 laps, 40 miles of the event, as Waltrip continues to draw a lead on this race, one which he hasn't won. Larry Nuber has an update on Tom Sneva.
Bay Darnell again updating the Tom Sneva situation. Bay, you had to tie the gear shift lever into position.
Yeah, when he spun out, he must have bent the shifting levers and the shifting rods underneath, and it wouldn't stay in high gear, so we had to tape it in with some tape so to stay in gear. Now we're going to have a hard time on the pit stop. We're going to have to push him out.
And then it wouldn't start. You think you ran the battery down, right?
Either that or it was flooded. I couldn't tell.
Who makes the decision to stay out there? You were in the pits about 2 minutes, must have lost at least 10 laps.
Yeah, well, I'll just talk to Tom and see what he thinks.
Well, there he is. coming right back.
Well, they're on the radio right now talking to Tom. Bay's son, Denny Darnell, is also on the radio with Tom Sneva. Maybe we'll have an update in a couple of seconds for you.
All right, he's back on pit road. Sneva, another time. 28 laps, the working lap for car number 11, Waltrip. Boy, that car just snuggles through those corners. It's cold, runs on rails, and begins to overtake a lot of the back markers. There you see some of the crowd that is gathered at this 2-mile Michigan International Raceway, where CBS is presenting live flag-to-flag coverage. Remember, a year ago, the car was battling right to the finish with Cale Yarborough. Now there's Harry Gant, who is really flying. He is up to 4th position, and Tim Richmond in car number 27, 5th.
And yesterday in a late practice run, Tim Richmond was involved in a grinding crash as he and Ron Bouchard and Bobby Allison were drafting. Bouchard blew a tire, spun in front of Richmond. He slammed into Allison, did not do too much damage to Allison's car, but there was a lot of damage done to Tim Richmond's car. They worked into the night getting that car repaired. Here's Dale Earnhardt trying to make a pass on Cale Yarborough. But it can't quite good. He decides to get back behind it.
And there's Morgan Shepherd right there as well on the inside. And they begin to really work up on the top of the track early in the going. They're beginning to take the very high side of the speedway all the way through. Down into turn 1. You're out the back of Cale Yarborough's car number 28. There's Morgan Shepherd dropping down on the inside.
An interesting situation there. Shepherd going very low on the racetrack. We saw Earnhardt go into the turn high, but Shepherd's car seems to be working on the low side of the racetrack as they try to overhaul Yarborough.
The Ford, the Bud Moore Ford, now gets by Morgan Shepherd and stays right there. He's ready to attack Cale Yarborough another time. And look at him dive to the inside, and they're almost 3 abreast there as Morgan Shepherd goes even lower.
Earnhardt is the meat in the sandwich, so to speak, as they go into the turn, but Cale pulls them once again. And one advantage that the car that's running high, he keeps the engine RPMs up, which lets him accelerate better off of the turn. So if you're working down on the low side, you better be able to keep those working well enough to keep those RPMs up.
Cale Yarborough is in 9th position, and in 10th, right there on the rear bumper, is Earnhardt, the 1980 national champion. Morgan Shepherd, the former national sportsman champion, took another shot at the inside, pinched his car a little off turn number 2, and it gave Earnhardt back the 10th spot. Cale is in 9th, and here comes Earnhardt attacking on the outside.
Boy, he just drove right past him there on that outside. Let's see if he can hold on. And here comes Morgan Shepherd on the inside.
3-car battle, and it is the customer Earnhardt into 9th. In 10th is Yarborough. In 11th is Morgan Shepherd. Meanwhile, back up front, Waltrip out for a Sunday Father's Day ride. Just having a lovely time. It is Darrell Waltrip leading with 31 laps complete in our CBS Live flag-to-flag coverage of the $300,000 Michigan 400. With that, Jared, I'm Kent Squire here, top side of the Michigan 400. Darrell Waltrip in command, Ron Bouchard is second, Labonte third, and Tim Richmond really coming on as into 4th, and Harry Gant has moved into the 5th position. A quick report on pit road. Here's Mike Joy.
Tim Richmond's car was wrecked in the last practice session yesterday. Barry Dodson, what'd you have to do to get that car back in shape?
I couldn't hear you very well, Mike. Right now, the car's good. He said the car was a little bit loose from the middle of the corner out, but we're catching Darrell about a half a second a lap. But he said a lot of cars are in worse shape than us, so we're real tickled.
Looks like it's running better than if you hadn't wrecked it.
Yeah, we're real happy right now. We're on Milwaukee and Pearson.
Let's go to the other end of pit road in the Bobby Allison pit, Larry Newber.
Bobby Allison's crew chief, Gary, he's moved from 16th to 6th in the last 10 laps. Has Bobby decided it's time to go?
Well, we were trying to go as best we could, and now the car started to develop a push. I think we're going to hold our own right at the moment. If somebody slows down, we'll overtake them, but we're not really gaining on the leader at the moment. Hopefully on the next pit stop, we'll get a chance to get a little light adjusted into it.
In the last 6 races, you guys have finished in the top 3 5 times. You're really on a roll, aren't you?
Well, we feel good about that. Bobby's doing a super job. Everybody on the Miller Highlight team really feels good, and I think we might be able to pull another one off today.
Ken, not only is he on a roll, but Bobby Allison has started more Grand National professional races here than any other driver entered today.
There is Baldwin's car. Rick Baldwin been leaking water, now being pushed in. And the battle of the libations continues here today.
That's one of only 2 Chrysler products in this field, and Rick Baldwin now he has it up to speed, so he's going back into racing. Here's a battle for second place.
Down to the inside.
Tim Richmond has really been moving.
They were saying he was gathering up the leader by a half a second a lap. It looks like at this point he has everyone in the field covered. Terry Dotson said yesterday he thought that they were ready to win a race here. They came awfully close at Pocono a week ago and ran out of fuel just at the end and had to settle for what, 5th or 6th?
He finished in 4th position last week.
There's Dale Earnhardt, and right in front of him, Morgan Shepherd.
So Morgan Shepherd has moved around Earnhardt. Earnhardt tries to move back in now to pick up his draft.
And Cale Yarborough right in there behind him. 9th, 10th, and 11th positions. Yarborough desperately needs a pit stop, get some work done on the suspension in car number 28.
Yes, he does. We heard Waddell Wilson say that the car was running loose. It's interesting that that's the only report that we've had that the car is loose, and that means the back end is not holding as tight as it should. All the others say that they've developed a push. That means that the back end is holding tighter. The reason for that is that they've set them up for yesterday's track conditions. Today, the track is holding much better for them.
Pit stops should commence in 7 to 8 laps. The first pit stops should commence in 7 to 8 laps. The only time this race has ever gone flag to flag, 1973, when David Pearson was victorious. It was the first year that Roger Penske had taken over to operate this facility. We may be on our way to another record setter here today, the way things are coming together in the 1520 of the Michigan for Darrell Waltrip. Closest he's ever come to winning this race a year ago when he finished 2nd in that controversial finish when Cale Yarborough won his 5th. He went through 5 straight years of engine problems in this event, but right now things flowing flawlessly for Darrell Waltrip in car number 11. You meteorologists here today, NASCAR has come up with a new device. They keep track of the storms around the track in case there's something creeping up on them. That's the device by which they find out in which direction it's coming. And as we watch Darrell Waltrip continuing to draw away, of course, halfway makes a race official. And with weather, perhaps a problem here today. Here's Harry Gant on pit road.
A little bit earlier, Ken, than we thought they would be coming in. They've run 43 laps, which is 86 miles. Of course, they took a couple of laps before the green flag flew. They're changing the right side tires, filling it up with gasoline, and I believe one crew member has reached inside making an adjustment on the car. We saw Tommy Gale coming out of pits in car number 64, but Gant away now. Good pit stop for him.
Getting ready for all the leaders to pit number 98. Rutland is finding his way onto pit road now. Waltrip staying out. Everybody playing it very safe here at the present time. Now, he'd been running in 6th position.
Here is Rutland and Mike Gant. They go to the right side to change those tires, fill it up with gasoline. And the way those tire changes have it down to a science now. They can change the tires before they can actually pour the 22 gallons of gasoline in. That's a good pit stop for Joe Rutland. They also made a weight adjustment on his car.
That's a brand new car for Joe Rutland in this race. He said they would like to get this car's record started correctly and win this event. Rutland took his first pole position at Dover, Delaware. What a story that was. His father had passed away on Friday night, and his father's last wish was that his son go out there and race. And the next day, he went out and set his car on the pole. The first time he had set a pole, and he set a record at Dover, Delaware. Joe Rutland, number 98.
It was a very dramatic situation, Ken. Here's Kyle Petty coming into the pits. We'll see most of the leaders coming in the next 3 or 4 laps. They've run 90 miles now.
45 laps are complete. Kyle Petty wanting to give his father a Father's Day present by winning this race and taking first place away from him.
That would be nice. And here is Cale Yarborough coming in.
Right in front of him.
Crew, you can see they're ready to go to work.
Let's go to Mike Joy.
Richard Bostic has the car in the air as they change the right side tires. Looking for a weight adjustment on the car, a crewman reaches in the right side window, cranks on a wrench that takes some weight off the right rear of the car. That'll make the car a little let loose, and it should handle a little more neutrally and tails away. Let's go to Larry Newber in the Waltrip pit.
Well, Darrell Waltrip has not come in yet. yet. The crew is still waiting for him. Mark Martin right now is in the pit adjacent to Waltrip. Junior Johnson and Doug Rickard, the two guys who call the shots in the Darrell Waltrip pit, however, are beginning to scramble around. We are anticipating Waltrip within the next lap and a half.
Well, the second place car, Tim Richmond, has come in, as many of the other drivers come in for their scheduled stops. These are for gasoline. Here we see Waltrip still circling the track, but he'll be coming in before too long because his gas will be getting a little low. Now he drives to the inside. Here's Morgan Shepherd, who had been moving up through the field. As he gets right side tires on his car and the tank of gas, and it looks like they're having a little bit of trouble on the right front of Shepherd's car.
47 laps complete when they come by this time, 153 to go. Here's Morgan Shepherd pulling back out. All the leaders taking this opportunity. Waiting on Darrell Waltrip to make his stop. There's car number 17, Sterling Marlin's car, having trouble. He's the leading rookie in the rookie standings at the present time. Having a problem getting the Roger Hamby car fired. Thus far, not a flutter of a yellow flag here today, and it could set us up for a new record. The record, 153 plus miles per hour. Set when there was no caution. David Pearson at the controls, 1973. The most cautions was in the very first race.
Here's the leader coming into the pits right now. Darrell Waltrip coming in for his pit stop, and Larry Newber is there.
Of Darrell, hoping that Darrell stops as he does every week several times, and Waltrip has a cracked windshield. We'll see if the crew goes to work to replace that. Junior Johnson makes the decision to not replace the windshield, just tape it over. A cracked windshield here on Darrell Waltrip that could be problems later on in the race. They changed the tires on the right side, and Darrell is off and away with a new load of fuel, but an interesting development on the Junior Johnson number 11. 6 top 10s in a row up to this race.
Ned, you could see the two NASCAR officials standing right there, and I'm sure they're on the radio back to Bill GAZAWAY right now about that windshield.
I'm sure they are, and that thing was mashed back in again. There's a tremendous amount of wind pressure at 160, 170 miles an hour on the straightaways here. That will definitely become a problem for Darrell Waltrip.
I can remember in the early days seeing a lot of windshield problems here, but I can't recall in the past couple of years seeing an incident like that.
I think something must have hit the thing to start it cracking, and then the wind pressure has made it burst further over.
Bobby Allison is on pit road. Bill Elliott, who's the pole sitter, is also on pit road. The leader at this moment is Terry Labonte. They are pitting under green. Now, if they were to run the entire distance under green, as we watch Bobby Allison here, that would call for what? 4 pit stops.
Yes. They cannot go quite 100 miles, particularly on this first one, as we see. Most of them are not going that far as Bobby Allison gets his service and goes back into the action. So they would have to stop at least 4 times.
Terry Labonte is the leader. He was the man on the pole. This is a 400-mile race as opposed to a 500-mile race. Strategy considerably different here.
Yes, it is. And normally they'll run harder from start to finish in a 400-mile race than a 500-mile race, as we see Neil Bonnet about to come into the pits, and the leader is in the pits, Terry Labonte.
Terry Labonte on pit road. Wholesale change of positions. He comes in just at 50 laps. Now that's really getting some range on that car.
Yes, it is. That's very good gas mileage. He did go the 100. That means he might could make it on 3 laps, on 3 pit stops, as we see Neil Bonnet sliding into his pit.
Neil Bonnet in the Warner Hodgson car. Next year he will join the Junior Johnson team. More on that story. This 400-mile race just naturally allows more cars to finish. The attrition rate isn't as high, but it really makes it into a dash. And on a track that is really built for racing, like this Michigan track, where you don't have to pinch a car, we sometimes have seen as many as 5 cars gathered up at a finish.
And they sort of measure it in time, and it doesn't take as long to run this race because of the speeds that they run here. As we see Bonnet getting back up to speed, we saw him change it from 3rd into 4th gear. Now he negotiates that 2nd turn.
And you get an idea here of just how rough this track is. They look like they're just gliding over this asphalt, but it's a very bumpy old racetrack because of the winters they have here, severe winters in Michigan. Let's get to Larry Newber.
If Junior Johnson and Waltrip decide to change the windshield, this will be the replacement item. Right now, they're talking about it on the radio. Junior said, we don't know if we're going to change the windshield. I suspect that as long as we remain under green, Darrell will try to stay out. If we go yellow, look for Darrell to duck in, and this windshield will probably go on just about immediately.
Well, here's an interesting aspect. It is being reported that Morgan Shepherd in car number 2 is the leader. I don't believe he's come in, and the range on that car is incredible.
Yes, he did. He came in, Ken. It must have been a very good pit stop. We thought he was having a little bit of trouble on the front lug nut on that car, so we'll see after they sorted everything out from scoring. Sometimes it can be confusing after everybody comes in, but most of them seem to make very good pit stops.
That was the report we have, and apparently it is erroneous. Mark, there is number 2, Morgan Shepherd, who has been put up as a leader, and we don't believe that is correct. He has made his pit stop, and if he hadn't, the NASCAR officials would be right there looking for a very large-sized fuel tank, of which several of these people, in their effort to be overly competitive this year, have come up with tanks that did strange things and expanded in unusual ways.
They have, but the NASCAR officials are quick to jump right on top of that situation. In fact, there have been some fines, and there have been some fuel cells taken away from some of the competitors.
Waltrip is the leader, number 11. Waltrip being put up as the first place runner at this time. Darrell Waltrip leading here in the Michigan 400. We have concluded 53. 53 laps are down with 147 to go. They're 106 miles deep into the event. And there you see Darrell Waltrip having a wonderful Father's Day. Dale Yarborough in car number 28, running back unofficially in a 12th position now. And there you see directly in front of him
Dale Earnhardt, who was right in front of him before they made their pit stop. Mike Joy is in Dale Yarborough's pit.
Let's go to Mike Joy.
These are the right front side tires off Cale Yarborough's car. They measure the temperatures across the tread to get a fix on how the car's handling. On the right front, the temperatures are pretty constant. On the right rear tire, it was running a lot hotter, so they had to make that chassis adjustment we spoke of earlier. These tires are slick, but they're not bald. There's plenty of tread left here. In fact, these tires may go back on the car before the end of the race. Back upstairs.
Darrell Waltrip started in 4th position today. He's leading. 4 times we have seen winners from the 4th position in this event, as well as 4 winners from 3rd position in this event. But that's where the field has been dominated. Not many people have come from out back here. That seems to be the lucky row back in there.
There have been a number of winners from the 3rd position as well. It's interesting how that happens, and no one really knows the reason why. As we see Waltrip now moving on the inside of car number 53, that was Tom Sneva.
Radar scope tracking the weather here, and it could become a factor before the afternoon is over. Again, halfway officially marks Grand National Stock Car Race, and they say there is a buildup maybe coming through here before the afternoon is over. So they're racing the weather as well as each other, running the Michigan 400 with Waltrip out in front, Tim Richmond in 2nd place. At a record clip, they're ticking off the laps in the Michigan 400 live on our CBS Flag to Flag coverage with Darrell Waltrip on the point, going for his 5th win, and he has a cracked windshield. You saw the windshield in there. It was caving in. Gone to work with the old gaffer's tape. Gosh, that thing holds everything together. There it is. You get a good look at it as he speeds by at 170 miles per hour, and he may have a windshield in his lap. Remember that happened to Cale Yarborough at Daytona at Talladega.
Yes, it did, Ken, and that's something that I'm sure that he and Junior Johnson, his car owner, are very concerned about at this point. They'd like to see a caution so they could change that windshield.
Meanwhile, in 2nd place is Tim Richmond, and there is a battle for 3rd. It's a dandy. Bobby Allison has just settled the hash of Terry Labonte, put him back to 4th place. There's Bill GAZAWAY, the NASCAR official, race director here. You look over his shoulder, keeping an eye on the weather as much as on the racing at the present time. And on this gentleman, Darrell Waltrip, telling the flagman down below, get out that passing flag. Waltrip plenty of room if he needs it. For an update on that cracked windshield, here's the story from Mike Joy.
Ken, there aren't many stock parts in a NASCAR race car, but the windshield is one of them. This one even has the little attachment point for the inside rear view mirrors. The same windshield as in your car. Here are the trim pieces, little tape on the outside so you don't crack it. They can change this in about 60 seconds.
Well, 60 seconds is an eternity when you're running under green, as they have been, and we have had no caution thus far. We've run 60 of the 200 laps, with Walter still in front, and we have a blown engine directly in front of us. Going down the main straightaway, David Pearson is losing an engine. There's the caution. What a break for Walter. Going into turn number 1, a smoker, car number 16. It is David Pearson.
Fellow who has won this race 4 times.
Slowing down. He's set on the pole here several times as well at Michigan. He won actually the very first race they ever ran on this racetrack, which was not this particular series that they hold in June. Slowing down on the back straightaway. His son came in here as his crew chief today. That's a bad break for one of the Giants. David Pearson has had terrible luck this year. He's been in 3 bad wrecks. He said the worst wreck of his career was in a sportsman race earlier this year at Dover, Delaware. Totally destroyed one of his own cars.
In the last 2 Grand National races he ran in, he was at the wrong place at the wrong time also and was involved in wrecks. So 1983 has not been a good season for the Silver Fox, as they call him, from Spartanburg, South Carolina. He's been second in all-time wins. He has 105 victories to his credit.
You didn't do so badly. Where were you? 7th, 50 wins?
Well, it wasn't long ago, Ken, that I was in about 4th place. Everybody coming into the pits right now. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Here is Waltrip, brings the Junior Johnson Chevrolet down to a stop. Only 5 men are allowed over the wall, and look at that gaping hole in the windshield. First, they're going to change the right side tires. Then they will bring the windshield out and change it if they feel it's necessary. They're going around to the left side for tires as well. Junior Johnson sends that man back over the wall so he can come out and work on the windshield.
I would presume they'd start the work now, make some repairs, take a lap, and bring him back in. There are 62 laps complete. The first caution of the day has been brought out when David Pearson lost an engine. 138 laps remaining in the event, and all the leaders are on pit road.
Here's Walter going back out, and I suspect we'll see him coming back in, Ken, because I believe that they'll take advantage of this caution period to change that windshield, because it can't get any better. It'll get worse as it goes on.
All the emphasis will be on Waltrip's pit as the Junior Johnson crew prepares to bring him in and change a windshield in a minute or less.
Of course, their first priority was to get new tires on the car, get it filled up with gasoline in case this is a very short caution. At least they'd be ready to run again.
Tell that to your local friendly filling station. You'd like 2 tires changed in about 15 or 20 seconds and a windshield in less than a minute.
Here they are getting that windshield ready to go in. We'll see if he comes in the next time or if he makes one more lap. He wants to be sure that he's right up to the caution flag now before, or up to the pace car before he comes in.
At 50 laps, 100 miles, they were averaging a record 154.905. Caution eliminates that. Allison takes the lead. Bobby Allison, number 22, is out in front. Having a great year, currently leading in the standings.
Cale Yarborough has been having some trouble here today. Ken, let's see if we can get hold of him. He has been
the windshield from Waltrip's car with a pry bar and using knives to cut out the sealant that holds it in. There go the trim pieces. They'll pop that windshield out, and the new one is ready to go. They can do this all in about 60 seconds to be ready to go racing once again.
just absolutely amazing at how quickly they can perform service on these race cars. Because they are very well prepared when they come for emergencies of this sort. But of course, under the caution, it takes well over a minute to go around at this racetrack because they are only running about 60 or 70 miles an hour.
Remember when they used to allow motor changes, and these people once changed into, what, 15 minutes?
Yes, in fact, 13 minutes and 41 seconds, I think it was.
And that was done by that white-haired gentleman on the left, Junior Johnson, who really puts this team together.
Of course, the NASCAR official there overseeing the work that is being done. They want to be sure that that car is safe when he goes back up.
And how many people are over the wall?
Well, yes, that's right. They only permit the 5 people over the wall, and they count them. And there he goes. He didn't lose a lap. Changed the windshield in there.
Let's talk to Cale Yarborough now. In car number 28, Cale Yarborough, Ken Squire, and Ned Jarrett. Do you read us?
Loud and clear, Ken.
What's been the problem out there, Cale?
Well, my car is too loose right now, Ken, but we just made a chassis adjustment and made some tire stagger adjustments, which we hope is going to have it handle a little bit better.
Cale, this is Ned. How are the track conditions today after they burned that car out of those grooves?
The track conditions are a lot better than they were yesterday afternoon, but the racetrack is still awful slick, and our car that's a little bit loose is a whole lot loose today.
Well, you haven't gone a lap down, thank goodness. And now from car number 75, that is the Neil Bonnet car. We're looking back at Cale Yarborough in number 28. Cale had been running in 9th position on the 60-lap rundown with an average speed of 153.901 miles an hour over the field. Cale, do you think you're in a...
Everything's okay. I can talk with you.
That's
We
Neil
can now
Bonnet.
talk to Neil Bonnet. Neil Bonnet, do you read us?
Ken, I can hear you real good down here.
Seems like you came out with a problem. You fell back at the start of the race. What was the situation in car number 75?
Ken, we changed motors first thing this morning, and we didn't get to practice yesterday when we lost that motor. We had to guess on the chassis work. We've been making some chassis adjustments on the stops. The car should get better as the day progresses. We've changed the chassis setting on both occasions, so we'll take another stab at it and see what we got.
Neil, your crew chief, Butch Mock, said your car was pushing a little bit. Cale Yarborough said his was loose.
That's right, Ned. What we've got out here is this track is exceptionally slick today. And if the chassis is the least bit tight, the car is wanting to push. And if the chassis is the least bit loose, it has a tendency to spin the rear wheels off these corners. So the guy that can get the car dialed in perfect today is going to be very tough. The track's a little slick, and we're going to have to keep working on our car.
You sort of welcome this caution then to make those adjustments.
That's right. We made a chassis adjustment. We got one lap to go. We made a chassis adjustment on the green stop a while ago, but on this stop here, we changed the tire sizing on the rear. My car was beginning to spin the rear wheels off the corner, so we made an adjustment back there, and hopefully we're right. You know, if we keep working, we'll get it.
Neil Bonnet, you're in 10th position. Are you going to charge now?
I'm going to have to see what the car, we made a pretty major change just then. I'm going to have to watch it for a lap or two and see what the car is going to do. If we got it better, I'll have to get after him pretty good.
Thank you, Neil. They're going to show you green this time by. Let's go quickly to Mike Joy.
Here's the windshield that came out of Darrell Waltrip's car. It got hit with a very large piece of debris, but it's safety glass with plastic between the two sheets of glass. It held together, did its job, now it's junk.
Well, certainly, Ken, that would have cut down on his view, but it wasn't bothering his speed any.
66 laps complete when they come by to accept the green flag of the race starter Harold Kinder. First caution of the day for car number 16, David Pearson, erupting an engine down the main straightaway.
Now we see Kyle Petty pulling on the inside of Bobby Allison, who is the leader, and that's the way they do it. Once they give the 1 lap to go signal, the cars that are 1 lap or more down can pull to the inside. The faster cars to the outside. Kyle had just got lapped not long before that caution came out.
And the leaders are Bobby Allison in first, Terry Labonte is in second, Jeff Bodine is in third. It will be Tim Richmond starting in the 4th position.
Harry Dan is in the 5th position.
Race car coming off. 6th position is Ron Bouchard, I believe. And then comes the Ford of Earnhardt in 7th as they take the green flag and get back at it here. Morgan Shepherd in that position right behind Earnhardt is Neil Bonnet as they come to the line. And Bonnet's going down through the middle trying to pick up some cars, working off a lap car, as well as trying to get around Earnhardt. And now you are with Neil Bonnet. There he goes around Bob Seneca, a lap car. Bob Seneca, great racer who comes from Michigan, taking a stab at Grand National Racing today.
He was the second round fastest qualifier yesterday and then went off to a local track and won a race last night, and Terry Labonte is taking the lead.
Labonte goes up in front. Here's Bonnet, whose car was not working well early in the going. Now fighting with car number 15, Dale Earnhardt, the Bud Moore Ford Thunderbird.
He's going to try to make a move on the inside, but he thinks better of it. Meanwhile, that battle goes on up front.
68 laps complete. Labonte back in front. Allison in second. Bodine in third. Tim Richmond in fourth at turn 1.
Allison did accomplish one thing, Ken, by leading the race. He got the 5 bonus points that goes along with leading. Of course, he's leading the Grand National point standings going into this race. That could be the difference at the end of the year.
Bonus points are given for leading the race, 5 points, and 5 additional bonus points to the man who leads the most laps in the event. 75 points for winning. Labonte trying to get his win here at Michigan to turn his season around. Currently 10th in the standings. Bobby Allison is number 1 for the last 2 years. He fought right to the last race in Riverside, California, and then lost to Darrell Waltrip. Third place is a real snarl, a tremendous gaggle of cars going for the third position into turn number 1. There are your 2 leaders, Labonte and Allison.
But that third place battle is something, and here is Dale Earnhardt moving on the inside of Ron Bouchard.
Dale Yarborough looks like he has found the handle on car number 28, and he's on his way. CBS Sports live coverage of the Michigan 400 will continue after this word from your local station. Here in the Irish hills of Michigan, a tremendous battle is now developing, not only from the lead, but further back. And here's the major story at the moment. Notice that crack in Neil Bonnett's windshield.
It's not as severe as Darrell Waltrip was, but it looks like something maybe has hit that windshield again, and we'll keep an eye on it to see if it does get worse, because he's right in the middle of a thick battle.
They're working the 72nd lap of 200. Terry Labonte, number 44, is just flying at the present time. Labonte pulling away, drawing away. And there's that battle with Cale Yarborough, who had trouble in the early going.
The adjustments they made on that car seems to be working very well for him now, Ken, as he's able to fend off that attack behind.
Labonte first, Allison second, Richmond third. That's out the back of Cale Yarborough's automobile, and there you see the bandit right there, Harry Gant. And you can hear.
And there's Buddy Baker coming into the picture. We haven't seen much of him today in the Wood Brothers Ford.
Here Cale Yarborough's roaring. Sounds like a giant ship reeking through a bad storm as he goes through those corners.
They apparently made some adjustments on Baker's car, too, during that pit stop, as many of them did. Here's Baker trying to make a move on the outside of Cale Yarborough.
Bad crash in turn number 4. Petty looks to be involved. It was right behind the leader. There's 2 cars down on the inside. Car number 98, Joe Ruttman, I believe, is in it. And Kyle Petty is coming by, showing some abuse on car number 7.
There is Joe Ruttman's car, number 98. As we see it sitting on the grass, the left side of that car doesn't appear to be damaged.
73rd lap. It was right in front of Richard Petty. Well, those 2 cars were in contact. Some Father's Day present from Kyle to Richard there for a moment. He was on the binders, had everything locked up, he being Richard Petty, and was able, I believe, to get out unscathed. But bad day for Joe Ruttman with his new car.
You see the fans there observing the situation to see if Ruttman can get his car to go in. Of course, the caution out here for the second time today.
Leader stays on the track, Labonte, but Allison, the second-place car, comes in.
And as we see in the background, many of the other cars coming in, taking advantage of this caution. Once again, it hasn't been that long since they made pit stops, but perhaps they need other adjustments, and they'll come in. And also, Ken, a lot of times they will come in even quickly after another caution, because if they run through debris on the track, they don't want to take chances that their tires might have been cut.
And in this Michigan 400, we can say goodbye to the hopes of a track record for the race. It'll stay with David Pearson, who brought out the first caution of the day at 153 miles an hour. Safety crew there for Joe Ruttman, car number 98. Crew chief Buddy Parrott. They had really hoped to have a good day with this car. You mentioned earlier they had set on a pole with a new record at Dover, Delaware, well, let's see, 7 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, and they thought they were going to come back today and really put it together. Brand new machine. Bill Elliott just coming back on the track. Pit road is pretty much clear now, Ned.
Yes, they have gone back to catch up to the field. We'll see if others do come in. Ruttman was running very strong here today and felt good about his chances, because the new car, they put a lot of work into it, and
he wants a push. I believe he thinks he can get it fired and get back in the event. As they were running, we may have a tail-end look at what happened there as we were following with our in-car cameras. Kyle Petty is back on pit road another time. How about it, Ned?
Well, as we see them coming, he has already hit the wall, coming down across the track, stirring up the dust, and another car going by on the inside. But the car number 98 of Joe Ruttman spinning around, and there's where he wound up on the grass, and he would like to get a push to see if he can get the car fired and get it to go again.
A quick report from Mike Joy.
Here's Richard Childress, the owner of the Ricky Rudd automobile, former driver himself. When Ricky won that race at Riverside earlier this month, you can see what it's done for his confidence. He's running that car really well up front today.
Yeah, he really boosted the whole team, and I think, you know, the car's running super good today, and, you know, hopefully we'll be there at the end of the day. We've been doing a lot of testing.
How about a change in maybe Ricky's personality since he got that victory? Must have taken a load off his and your shoulders.
Yeah, it did all of us. You know, we've won a lot of poles and had a fast car, but we needed to win real bad.
Richard Childress, the owner of the Ricky Rudd car.
Rudd had been running in 4th position at 70 laps. We're at 75, and again, some of them have taken this opportunity to pit. The report is there's oil on the track. Someone may have cut a line up there and oiled down the track, creating a situation that Joe Ruttman found untenable and spun himself out. More of the Michigan 400 coming up. Joe Ruttman on the hook with 77 laps complete, 123 remaining as Ruttman is hauled in. 1 lap and they will be racing again. We're inside car number 75 with Neil Bonnet as we get ready for green. Neil, were you near that incident in turn 3 and 4 which brought out this caution?
Ken, I was in front of it. It happened behind me back there. It looked like, I couldn't tell exactly what happened. I saw Ruttman's car sitting on the infield. There didn't seem to be a lot of damage to it.
Apparently he has retired. He came in on the hook. Bad break for Ruttman today. How are things going with car number 75?
Ken, I've got a condition here where I'm not able to drive the car right now. The car is driving me. We're continuously making chassis adjustments. I've got to reverse that condition. I've got to get the car to go where I want to put it instead of me chasing it. And we're working on it continuously. We've got a long way to go yet. And it's just as soon as we get her dialed in, I'll see if I can't get after them.
A quick report on pit road, Mike Joy.
Joe Ruttman, what happened up there?
Mike, I think we just, something happened to the engine. I'm really not sure, or the transmission locked up. The rear wheel just locked up on it. Around I went, and fortunately, all the guys were on their toes and missed any contact with me.
Are you out for the day?
I think that's it. We're going to check it over, but I'd say that's it.
Back upstairs.
Misfortune continuing to dog one of the nice new gentlemen in racing, Joe Ruttman. There's the attrition thus far in the race. Bobby Womack is out. Doug Baldwin, David Pearson, and now Joe Ruttman's car struck down here with an engine problem up in turn 3 and 4. Could have been far worse than it was.
And we're about ready for green again as we see it flying. Harold Kinder, the chief starter, waves the green flag.
They come to the line. It will be Terry Labonte first. Ricky Rudd in second. He won at Riverside, California 2 weeks ago. Buddy Baker is in third. Charging down into that corner, we have Neil Bonnet in fourth, carrying one of our CBS onboard cameras. Our live flag-to-flag coverage, and there goes Neil shooting for third spot.
He's doing a good job of drafting there right now, Ken, as they go down the backstretch towards the third turn. We'll see how much he falls back, if any, as he approaches that turn, because it said that the car was driving him instead of him driving the car, but he stayed right in there. You see Baker's car doing a little wiggle as it goes into the turn, but that's normal in a drafting situation.
15 car lengths behind Neil Bonnet lies Tim Richmond. Richmond running in the 5th position in 609. 7th is Waldrop. 8th is Gant. 9th is Earnhardt.
Here's Baker making a move on the inside of Ricky Rudd, trying to take over the number 2 position, but Rudd comes right back up on the outside, but Baker has the advantage.
Buddy Baker going into 2nd position. Let's go to Larry Newber.
Leonard Wood, one of the famous Woods brothers on Buddy Baker's crew. Leonard, Buddy is really coming on. Would you guys feed that car the last pit stop?
Well, to start with, the car was running real loose, you know, in the first part of the race. The sun was out and the track was real slick. And we made some weight adjustments, and now we hope, you know, it'll be a lot better.
The year's been a little frustrating. I think you expected a little more from the new cars, didn't you?
Well, sometimes it takes a lot of time to work a new car out, and we're just now getting started, and we're really hoping for better things from here on out.
Well, Ken, his best finish so far this year has been a 3rd. He's hoping for more here today at Michigan.
Neil Bonnet's getting past. It's Tim Richmond on the move again. It is Tim Richmond taking over in 4th position. The red-yellow car of Tim Richmond, number 27. 187 has just pulled in front of Neil Bonnet. Car prepared by Raymond Beadle, the well-known drag racing world champion.
Well, let's say that it's owned by Raymond Beadle. Tim Brewer, Harold Elliott are really the fellows who prepared the car.
Here they are out of turn number 4. With still Terry Labonte, and now dropping to the inside. It is Ricky Rudd taking a shot in second place on Buddy Baker.
While those two battle side by side, that allows Terry Labonte to pull away. But now Tim Richmond joins in, makes it a threesome. They're going to go 3 wide. Is he going to stick his nose in there? Surely he won't. No, he's thought better of that.
He's still trying to find some way to get through. Now he drops to the inside, and he's going to make it 3 wide.
Well, it's better to be on the inside if you're in a 3-car situation than in the middle.
And that's how it looks from just a position. Oh, they touched up in the corner.
At 170 miles an hour.
And Baker got driven all the way to the wall as Richmond nailed the number 3 car of Ricky Rudd. Buddy Baker all the way up to the concrete.
Now, one thing Tim Richmond doesn't mind doing, that is sticking the nose of that car wherever he thinks it will go. It doesn't make any difference how fast he's running or what chance he makes. He's a hard charger.
At 170 miles an hour to turn number 1, Richmond is now in second place. Ricky Rudd is in third. Buddy Baker in fourth. Neil Bonnet lies fifth. There's the leader, Terry Labonte.
He's been watching out his rearview mirror. Glad to see those fellows racing side by side, but now he knows that he has Tim Richmond coming on, so there are 2 of the young chargers in this sport. Richmond has 2 victories to his credit, winning both races at Riverside, California last year. Terry Labonte only has 1 win to his credit. He won the 1980 Southern 500.
All gathered up again. Ricky Rudd ready to take another charge down the inside on Richmond, and Baker is right there with him. That's turn 1, and Richmond is relegated back to the 4th position. Here comes Baker taking another move on the inside now, and dropping to the bottom of the racetrack comes Tim Richmond.
Well, they better watch out because that guy don't mind sticking it down in there. Let's see if they can make it. 3 abreast now. They go down the backstretch. Rudd able to pull away a little bit. Here comes Baker right back on the inside. Richmond looked like backed off to get himself a running start, and here he comes.
This is the viewpoint from Neil Bonnet's car, which lies just behind this 3-way scramble. Richard Petty up on the outside, and Lake Speed moves out on him a little as they come down into the main straightaway.
And Whitley Exington, once they were able to get a caution and make some adjustments on those cars, they're running much closer together.
Terry Labonte is flying away from the field. He's built up about a 2.5-second advantage, while this old-fashioned, as David Hobbs would say, car is going on back here for the 2nd position. Baker has it for the moment, but here comes Richmond again. He's pulling up on Ricky Rudd in 3rd, and he has it. Tim Richmond back to 3rd spot.
And that's drafting working at its best, and he was able to pick up the draft off of Rudd's car and just shoot right past it.
Neil Bonnet maintaining 5th here in the Michigan 400, 85 laps complete. At Michigan Live, you are inside Cale Yarborough's car number 28, getting inside of the story of stock car racing with Neil Bonnet and Cale Yarborough carrying our cameras today. And later today, we'll take you inside the WBA Junior Middleweight Championship. We're standing by with Brent Musburger, Roberto Duran, and with him, of course, the man with whom he tangled, Davey Moore. They're all in the studio, and that's upcoming this afternoon from New York on CBS Sports Sunday, the WBA Junior Middleweight Championship. And you'll get a view of that one and some thoughts about it from the gentleman who participated. Here's the leader, Terry Labonte, in car number 44 on this Michigan 400. We've now completed 88 of the 200 laps, and there gives you an idea of just how much of an interval there is to 2nd place, which is Bobby Allison now in 2nd. Allison is in 2nd. Buddy Baker is in 3rd. Tim Richmond is in 4th. And from everybody's viewpoint, this is turning out to be a dandy. The Michigan 400, the major surprise. Terry Labonte, who has won but 1 race. Whoa, way high. Looked like Baker getting a little loose there. That was Cale Yarborough all the way to the wall in turns 1 and 2. Terry Labonte in car number 44. He is leading. He's set on the pole. There's the interval back. Now you see that 2nd place car, number 22. Bobby Allison is there. Buddy Baker in 3rd. And the red car is Tim Richmond in the 4th position.
And they apparently made some adjustments on Labonte's car during one of those caution periods. We pointed out earlier that car was not sticking to the inside of the track, but it is now. It's like Walter's car was earlier. He can put it anywhere he wants to go.
5th is Rudd, 6th is Yarborough, 7th is Earnhardt, 8th is Waltrip. Darrell Waltrip is in the 8th position now. Remember, he led for a bit, then had the windshield problem. Running 9th is Bodine, 10th is Morgan Shepherd, 11th is Bill Elliott, man who's sent outside of the front row for this event.
And here we see Baker closing in as he picks up the draft of Bobby Allison with Tim Richmond right on the back bumper of Baker. That allows them to close in very quickly on Bobby Allison. Richmond went a little high as he started into that turn, but now he picks the draft of Baker back up, and that'll shoot him down this front straight.
91 laps complete, 109 to go. Give you an idea of some of the speed on this racetrack. There's Benny Parsons about to go a lap down on the green and white number 55.
Yes, he just made another pit stop not long ago for a change of right side tire. So one of the former winners of this race, Benny Parsons, struggling now to stay in the lead lap.
Driving the Leo Jackson car. Here's the back straightaway. Another time as car number 44 tries to deal with Benny Parsons. Down to the inside. Our next flag-to-flag coverage on CBS Sports will be at Talladega, Alabama. We'll bring you all of the Talladega 500 coming up in the end of July, July 31st to be exact, on a Sunday afternoon. We'll join you from the fastest racetrack in the world here on CBS. There's Bobby Allison's car. Bobby Allison in that second spot. Then in third, the Wood Brothers car, number 21, Buddy Baker. And Tim Richmond is right there in fourth. The leader just put a lap on Benny Parsons.
We'll see if that works to an advantage for him with having Parsons there running with him. Now, sometimes a car running that close can actually hold you back. Here's Dale Earnhardt making a move on Cale Yarborough. Darrell Waltrip follows right along with him, and boy, that is drafting working edge fence.
That was coming out of turn number 2, and that's the second time we've seen Cale way high in the second turn net.
He doesn't have his handling problem squared away yet.
There he is trying to stay. Let's see if that car will move up here as they come to turn 4. Begins to climb a little here as they come out of 3 into 4. Waltrip on the move has taken Cale Yarborough down a spot. Second place man is Allison. Third is Baker. Fourth is Richmond. Up to 5th. 5th is Rudd. Up to 6th moves Earnhardt. In 7th is Waltrip, and back here in 8th is Cale Yarborough.
And we can see Cale moving up as he got on the straightaway and picked up the draft. Now let's go to the pits and Larry Newman.
Well, we're back with Gary Nelson, Bobby Allison's crew chief. Looks like you're right on schedule.
Well, Larry, we've been doing a lot of adjusting and fooling around with the chassis, trying to get it a little more comfortable for Bobby. We're getting a lot closer. We're still not satisfied, though, because we're not leading.
Was Bobby anywhere near the accident that happened, Gary?
I believe that was...
We have trouble in turn number 3.
On the radio, who was involved.
We have trouble in turn number 3. Car number 75. Number 75 is losing an engine. Neil Bonnet is slowing down. Bonnet is coming down out of turn number 4, and he's headed for pit road. Neil Bonnet. Here's Neil Bonnet coming in. We began to see smoke streaming out of the back of the car as he entered the third turn.
So a tough break here for Neil Bonnet. A brand new engine, as we documented it earlier on the telecast here today. The crew members go under the hood, but with that smoke coming from it, Ken, I'm afraid that he's in trouble.
This happening in the 94th lap. Leader continues to be number 44, Terry Labonte, but Bobby Allison is beginning to eat into his lead. There is your leader. And we'll get an interval between first and second. Let's see if we can get a word of Neil Bonnet. Neil, what happened? Neil Bonnet, Ken Squire, can you tell us what happened?
Ken, on that last restart, the motor's been missing since the restart, and we're going to try to see if we can just keep it going and come in and maybe possibly change ignition or something. But the engine dropped the valve going down the back straightaway. It looks like it's been one of those days, and we'll just have to regroup, try to get up next week.
Well, that's a terrible break. Next for you, of course, will be down at Daytona Beach for the Firecracker 400, right, Neil?
That's right. We're going to Daytona Beach, and that's always been a good racetrack. I've been fortunate to win down there, and hopefully we can take this Hodgson car. We can take this Hodgson car to victory down there, maybe. It's been a pleasure working with CBS, and I'd like to wish my dad Happy Father's Day in Birmingham.
How does it feel right now, Neil? That's got to be kind of grim. I know you really wanted to do well today.
Well, I just looked out the window to the right and see those guys still racing, and, you know, it's just something you don't want to miss. I'd love to be out there. We wasn't running like we wanted to, but you never give up. You just keep changing the car and working with it. I had confidence we could get the car running better, but, you know, it's enjoyable to win races, but the winning teams are able to come back from something like this. So we'll just have to dig down and work a little harder and see if we can't come back at Daytona.
CBS Sports and all of your fans throughout the nation, thank you for your assistance today and giving us those dramatic pictures in the early going, Neil.
Thank you, Ken. I've enjoyed it.
4.5-second interval between first and second. Labonte in first, Allison closing in second. We'll keep checking as to how much he moves in. Allison on this car, number 44, Terry Labonte. Back to the pits for this late update.
Tim Brewer, the crunched up sheet metal on your car doesn't seem to be upsetting the aerodynamics too much.
No, Mike, no more than the car was bent up. You know, we tried to straighten it out last night. And, you know, aerodynamics, you know, no faster the guys running today is not really hurt the car that much.
But your driver, Tim Richmond, is the kind of guy who likes to put the car out front. Can he, the way it's bent up at the back?
Well, he can, you know, handle it fairly well today. You know, we're trying a new concept. You know, we're just going to try to, you know, run up front, so to speak. Kind of lay back, try to be around at the end for a change.
A David Pearson kind of race.
He wins a lot of races.
No question about that. He has won a lot of races, but the way we saw Richmond driving there a little bit earlier, he wasn't doing too much laying back here.
Interval stays at 4.5 seconds between first and second, and we are 2 laps away from the halfway mark. 2 laps away from the halfway distance. Race will then be official, and Terry Labonte will be praying for rain, and the other competitors out here will be praying they can find him before this race is over. Right now, he has one of the biggest advantages I have ever seen on this racetrack in this event. Terry Labonte in car number 44 is seeking his second Grand National win. Stays out in front in CBS Sports Live flight-to-flight coverage of the Michigan 400. Terry Labonte, who has never done better than 11th in this race, and he's done that twice, 1980 and 81. Last year he suffered an engine failure in this event, is now leading. The Billy Hagan Chevrolet stays out in front by about 4.5 to 5 seconds over second place Bobby Allison. There's the attrition. Thus far we have a report of 8 cars out of the race at the better than halfway juncture. And Jarrett with us.
The engine problem has taken most of those out.
A report in the pits. Here's Larry Newber.
There's an old adage that talks about learning by your mistakes. Well, here's a problem on Benny Parsons' car. Needless to say, you can see all these blisters around the entire circumference of the race car. There are 2 rows of them. Now, this is a chassis problem, not a tire problem. The chassis of this race car was not set up properly. Bill Homer from the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company has been here. He was the first one to inspect the tire. He's already labeled it. Dismount this tire from the wheel and ship it to. Hasn't filled in that blank yet, but be rest assured it's going to an engineer, probably in an office somewhere in Akron, Ohio. Off of Benny Parsons' car, they've been making changes on the chassis. They hope they've solved this problem.
It is now 6.5 seconds by which Terry Labonte dominates the Michigan 400. He has been here 4 previous times, and today, certainly to date, to this moment, the very best performance he's ever had. He has led 50 of the first 103 laps.
And Ken, they really expected a lot of good things to come from this team this year. When I say they, Billy Hagan, the car owner. They have a new crew chief this year, Dale Inman, who was with Richard Petty through most of his wins when he accumulated some 170 or 80 wins while Dale Inman was there. But now he's the crew chief on this car number 44. But they've had a little trouble getting it all together. They've finished no better than 6th so far this year. They've been very competitive in a number of races, but they've had a lot of problems. Hoping after winning the pole here yesterday, the first good thing you might say that's happened to them in 1983, maybe they can follow that up with a win.
They've waited since 1980. This guy was the scourge of Texas tracks. He won just about every race they put him in for years. There's the battle for second place. Allison is there in second with Baker in third. In the red car, Tim Richmond in fourth with Ricky Rudd in that white car at the tail end of the picture in 5th spot. As again they lap Sterling Marlin, the leading rookie on the NASCAR Grand National Tour. Richmond's making a move on the inside out of turn 4. A correction out of turn number 1 into turn 2.
But it simply didn't work that time. Now he tries it a little harder as he moves on the inside. I'll Buddy Baker. Let's see if he can pick it up. Coming off of the turn, but he's on the inside. Ricky Rudd is going to stick his nose up there, but Richmond gets back in quickly.
Waltrip sits back there, watches, waiting. Darrell Waltrip still very much a factor in this event. Line 6 in the race with Earnhardt in 7th.
You can see how far Terry Labonte was ahead, almost the front straightaway, ahead of that battle for second place.
Well, there's the real interval right there.
So actually, it's about a half a straightaway, but as long as they continue to battle back there for those positions, that's working to Labonte's advantage. He's out there picking up the draft from the lap cars that he comes up on, and is able to just maneuver around them very quickly.
CBS Sports live coverage of the Michigan 400 will continue after this message and a word from your local station. All right, Brent, Kelly Yarborough is 12th. He's running 12th. We've completed 109 laps. He just lost some ground to Richard Petty. Benny Parsons has just pitted his car. Kelly Yarborough, as you watch Benny Parsons on pit road for a moment, he's gone a lap down. Cale lost to Richard Petty, Morgan Shepherd, and Harry Gann all just shot him down. He was leading the group. Here he is trying to get back into it, but that car is not working as he wished it might, coming down. And meanwhile, in the second place, we have a battle. There you see Buddy Baker moving around Bobby Allison to take second. Ned Jarrett, and still there, Tim Richmond, having one of his best days in 1983, maintaining fourth.
And he's trying to take over the third position from Bobby Allison, but Allison, being the pro that he is able to hold him off. And that's Ricky Rudd, the fourth car in that. That's second, third, fourth, and fifth place we're watching there with Buddy Baker in second.
Ricky Rudd in the fifth position. Here's Buddy Baker, number 21. Works his way back up to the second spot.
And Tim Richmond does move around Bobby Allison, so now he takes over the third position, moves Allison back to fourth. Here's Ricky Rudd trying to make a move on him.
There's Terry Labonte trying to win the second race of his career, and he continues to draw away from the field. Well, whatever magic was sprinkled about on this racetrack today, it fell all on the shoulders of Terry Labonte thus far.
And there is Dale Inman, the crew chief, the team manager, business manager, Wayne King in the background there as they've discussed something there. But Dale Inman, of course, very happy with the way that car is performing right now.
Terry Labonte in front by better than 6 seconds over the 1973 winner of the event, Buddy Baker, driving for the Wood Brothers in a Ford. Back to the line. We now have 112 laps complete. 112 laps down for Terry Labonte.
Here is Baker coming down into the pits. Buddy Baker, the second place car, coming on pit road. And Ken, this would be an unscheduled stop, I think. They haven't gone long enough that they should be coming in this early.
Allison is ready to attack Tim Richmond in a battle for second place at the first turn. Allison on his way into second. Tim Richmond relegated to third. Richmond back on the inside. And in the fourth spot is the white number 3, red numeral number 3, Ricky Rudd, the winner at Riverside, California, 2 races back. Tim Richmond, who won twice last year in both races on the 9-turn road course at Riverside. Here is number 21 coming back out. They field her and send her on its way. We'll try to get a report from the Wood Brothers as to that circumstance.
Well, they did change the right side tires on his car. Of course, fill it up with gasoline, and Baker is going to get back out and stay in the lead lap.
But still, it's Terry Labonte, the story of this event. Terry Labonte, who's won over $1 million in his career, and now the pit stops are beginning.
Well, yes, they are. So apparently I've lost count for a moment, Ken, as to when they would be scheduled to come in. They do it so quickly here. This is Ricky Rudd that we're seeing in the pits now. Scheduled stop for him, right side tire.
So that's another of the leaders in. He had been running in fourth. And the pit stops under green turn that all over into a team effort. There's one coming back out. Pit stops, and it can really cost you on a track as well designed as this Michigan International Raceway. Now there's the third place car, or the second place car, Richmond, and the third place Bobby Allison's car.
And here is Mark Martin in the pits. We haven't said much about Mark today. This is the first time he's driven this car that's prepared by former driver G.C. Spencer, and Mark is very high on this. It's a 3-race deal. He's very anxious to get back. He started out in the 2 car earlier this year, the J.D. Stacy car. He was fired from that ride. Morgan Shepherd now drives that car, so Mark is certainly a good big past winner. He was ASA champion for 3 years in a row, and happy to be back now on the Grand National Circuit.
The McClure, car number 4, has made its stop and come back out. Kyle Petty's number 7 running right in front of the leader. He seems to be slowing down. I think he's coming in.
The leader is coming in. Terry Labonte for a scheduled stop now. Dale Lindman and the crew will be ready for him as he comes in. We suppose he'll change right side tires as everybody else did.
Let's put a watch on car number 44. Let's go to Larry Newber.
Well, you not only have to be fast to win a race, but you have to have a little bit of luck. Things have to go your way. And so far today has been very, very smooth for Terry Labonte. There was no panic whatsoever as they prepared for this pit stop. It was absolutely routine. Changing right side rubber as Ned Jarrett suggested, filling the car with a load of fuel, 15.2 seconds. And as we suggested, everything going very routine. I'm looking at one of the tires right now, no abnormal wear.
Jim, that was a very good pit stop, 15 or 2/10 seconds, but we did see one of the crew members reach inside and made a chassis adjustment on that car, and we thought it was working perfectly. He was pulling away from the field. They were not satisfied with it.
First and second right there, number 27 and number 22. Tim Richmond in the red car, Bobby Allison in the white car. Behind them, you see Bill Elliott's car number 9, which is started outside the front row.
Bill likes this racetrack. He said earlier on when we first came on the air that the Ford ran good on this track, so he now has moved into the top 5 for the first time today.
Shown in the 3rd position with Earnhardt in the 4th position, and the 5th position, Darrell Waltrip. Richmond's car looking a little gnarly as it came out of turn number 2. Did a little dance there.
These cars will be coming in for pit stops before too long as they single themselves out with Richmond the leader, Bobby Allison running in the 2nd position. You can see Bill Elliott running a little higher on the racetrack now as he comes into the picture in the Ford number 9.
Coming around a complete 117 laps this time. 83 laps to go, 234 miles down.
They'll not be able to go the distance on one more tank of gas. They'll have to stop at least 5 more.
Richmond stays in front. Here's Richard Petty. He's been running the top 10. And in Richard Petty's pits, Larry Newber standing by.
Richard Petty comes to a stop. Boy, he's been here quite a number of times in his career. Running in the top 10 all day. Richard Petty with 197 career wins. Would like to make it 198, take that next step toward 200. But he hasn't really been a contender for the lead yet today. Petty in, Petty out. He may have to stop one more time. They were close on their fuel consumption chart.
And that man has been absolutely amazing in his 20-some-odd year career. He'll be 46 years old on July the 2nd, but he continues to go strong.
They always have a big birthday party at the Daytona 400, the Firecracker 400, for Richard Petty, the 1976 winner here of this Michigan 400. Well, those front 3 continue to hang in there with Tim Richmond first, Bobby Allison in 2nd. There's Tim Richmond, who was the 1980 Rookie of the Year at Indianapolis. Came to stock car racing, found out he liked it, and he is stuck with it. Here's Mike Joy.
Gasoline, tires, a drink of Gatorade, and a clean windshield for Harry Gann in the Bandit automobile, the Burt Reynolds and Hal Needham car. He's down and away in just over 15 seconds.
Staying in the lead lap all day.
Oh, yes, you make that kind of a pit stop. Now, when we say 15 seconds, that's the time that he's actually stopped on pit road and the fellows are working on the car. Of course, there's a slowdown period coming into the pit. Takes him a little while to get his speed back up. So actually, they might go as much as 30 seconds down to the leaders, or maybe as much as 35, taking it all into consideration, but that's still less than a lap.
It's interesting that Bill Elliott is right back in this thing another time. There he is in 3rd in that big Thunderbird. They've run that car just twice before this year. Harry Melling, the car owner, lives here in Jackson, Michigan, where most of the teams take residence when they come to race at the Michigan International Raceway.
Well, Harry Gant did almost go a lap down as Tim Richmond tries to move on the inside, but with the new tires, Gant should be able to stay out front, but he was far enough behind that he almost went a lap down, and he wants to stay out in front of the leader.
He's having some problems with Richmond right now. Richmond will have to pit. Here is Earnhardt on pit road. Dale Earnhardt running in 5th place is on pit road. Lap 120. Lap 120, 80 remaining.
Change of right side tires, Bud Moore. The rest of the crew working very feverishly on that car. Boy, they got those tires changed in a hurry. In less than 10 seconds, they're filling it up with gas now. So a good pit stop for Dale Earnhardt, 15 and 4/10 seconds. But if they could get that gas going as quickly as they could change those tires, that would have been amazing.
Can you imagine? 52 tires faster than you can put in a tank of fuel. That's what they do week in and week out on this 30-race, near $10 million tour. Richmond stays in front again. The winner at Darlington earlier this year going a lap down. Bobby Allison right there. Correction, right there in second and sandwiched in between his gas.
Harry Gant, of course, has made his pit stop. Here's Morgan Shepherd from Conover, North Carolina, a former sportsman champion. He has one victory to his credit. He won at Martinsville, Virginia, a couple of years ago. Drives now for the J.D. Stacy team.
Cale Yarborough moves up to fifth. Yarborough now fifth. Leader, the red and yellow car, Tim Richmond. And there is Cale Yarborough in fifth position, putting a lap on Tommy Gale.
Gale sort of running out to himself now as he, after he moved around the car of Tommy Gale.
That windshield beginning to show some of the oil residue off the racetrack. Tire, rubber building up on that windshield. That's just what the driver sees. That's what you see as we watch car number 7 on pit road. Let's go down to the pits right now.
On pit road, and he'll get fuel, a drink, and right side tires. Watch for the jack on the right side of the car. It's too noisy here to talk to the driver, so when they drop that car off the jack, when Jeff Hammond releases it, that's Waltrip's signal to go.
And we also saw Junior Johnson make a chassis adjustment on his car, and it was working perfectly in the early part of this race, but track conditions are different.
Here's Cale in and out. And here is the leader, Tim Richmond. Richmond is coming on. The watches are out as Tim Richmond, who lasted just about 10 laps at Daytona earlier this year, had a problem putting him out. And here's Larry Newman.
Well, Tim Richmond comes to a stop. You can see the damage on that race car. Remember, it happened yesterday. Richmond was involved in that 4-car shunt late in practice, but despite the fact this crew just about rebuilt the car overnight, it was performing quite well. I'm standing with Raymond Beadle, the man behind this race car. Raymond, your car is doing well today, considering it's completely rebuilt overnight.
Yeah, well, you know, we were a little concerned, and Jim and them worked late last night. NASCAR was real good to give us a little extra time. The car team this morning, they drove around the pits and they checked it out, and it seemed to be okay, so they're trying. Everything's working good so far.
Raymond, there was damage on all 4 sides of that car. How did you guys get it fixed?
Well, like I said, we have some real capable crew, and they work real hard and they're real dedicated. We're just glad that they're here since we're here in Detroit with old Milwaukee.
Ken, things are looking pretty good for Tim Richmond. A big difference from this time yesterday.
World champion drag racer Raymond Beadle. They've changed 3 crewmen on that car. Here's Bobby Allison, car number 22, being shown as the leader. And apparently, something's working right for car number 27, Ned.
Yes, it is. They did a wonderful job in getting that car back together. And Tim has done a good job of driving it here today as we see Allison now coming down on the low side of the track, passing Harry Gant, who will be going a lap down. Gant has already made his pit stop while Tim Richmond was making his pit stop. Jeff Bodine came in, so did Lake Stevens. So most of the drivers are making those stops now. In the pits at this moment is Ron Bouchard. He'll be going back out into action as we see Cale Yarborough there now, directly in front of Bobby Allison. Cale about to go a lap down, but Allison getting good gas mileage here today. He hasn't made his stop yet.
He had excellent mileage a week ago at Pocono, Pennsylvania. And Gary Nelson did a remarkable job, and there is the leader right behind, Cale Yarborough, down the back straightaway. Nearly flat there. The front straightaway banks about 5 degrees. An interesting racetrack. You can hear Cale groaning as he has to give up here. Let Allison in. Allison may be getting ready to pit. No, sir, he stays out.
Well, now Cale moves back around him on the outside, so we'll see if Allison slowed down or if Cale was just able to muster enough power to stay out there. Certainly Cale wants to stay in front of him just in case there's a caution comes out.
Jimmy Means' car having problem on pit road, a gas tank. Gas tank dragging along, a little tail behind him, and they had to stop, do a little fixing there.
Well, what actually happened, he just took off before the crew got through with their job.
That's what they said.
Yeah.
Here's Allison trying to run down Cale Yarborough, putting a lap down. Again, you are inside Cale Yarborough's car. Live flag-to-flag coverage on CBS, and here's Allison up again. Boy, he's going to go another lap. Look at that car dance in turns 3 and 4.
And they come pretty close together right there.
They get any closer, shake hands. Cale right there not wanting to go a lap down to Bobby Allison, and does not for the moment. Back in turn number 1. Bobby's says goodbye. But Allison must pit. Bobby Allison must pit. Here's how they stand. 127 and 200 laps complete. It is Allison first. Terry Labonte is in second. Darrell Waltrip is in third. And fourth overall is Tim Richmond, with fifth, Bill Elliott. That's the front five at this time.
Here is Harry Gant moving on the inside of Cale Yarborough. Now that will be for position. Remember, both of those drivers are a lap down. As we see Gant now falling back behind Cale Yarborough, was not able to take up that position. But they're waiting for Allison to go into the pit, so they'll be back in the lead lap.
All the way, that was put Terry Labonte back up in front. Remember, he had that big healthy lead, and this is where it will pay off. And I'll tell you, Allison is getting just terrific range out of car number 22.
Yes, he is, Ken. He's getting tremendous gas mileage. Of course, Gary Nelson, the crew chief on that car, Robert Yates, the engine builder, they've worked on it to try to get as much gas mileage as they possibly can, because sometimes it can be an advantage. For instance, now, if they could get a caution, it'd be a tremendous advantage for them.
There's a lot. Now he's slowing down. Allison, the 1971 and 1981 winner of this event, is pulling on pit road. Let's go to Larry Nuber.
We're waiting for Bobby Allison to roar down the pit road. Here he comes. He's coming into our vision now. Gary Nelson, of course, on the pit wall. He throws over the wall as the crew goes to work immediately to the left-hand side. Bobby trying to get a hold of a soda pop. No, he turns the soda pop down and goes for the wet rag, cleaning off something on the inside of the windshield. No attention to the right or outside of the race car, and Allison is away with fresh rubber on the inside.
Very good pit stop, and a little surprising, Ken. Everybody else changed right side tires. Bobby Allison took on left side tires.
And we're watching this man, number 44, Terry Labonte, back in front another time. Terry Labonte back in front. The Hagen car leading here. Had his biggest year last year, winning almost $400,000 on the tour. But ended it really hard in turn 9 at Riverside, California. They took the entire front off that car. He crashed at about 170 miles per hour and eliminated the whole front end. Came to the victory dinner, the Waldorf in New York, on crutches. He crutches today, Ned. He looks really tough. Car number 44, Terry Labonte, is back in first place here in the Michigan 400. Tim Richmond is appropriate in second place. Darrell Waltrip is in third. More in a moment. 15 cars in the lead lap, and 14 of them chasing this man. Car number 44, Terry Labonte of Corpus Christi, Texas.
But Ken, it seems as he's slowing down a little bit. Just a moment ago after those pit stops, he had a 4.5-second lead. Now it is less than 3 seconds. As we see him down the backstretch, you see Bobby Allison coming into the victory.
Allison in second place. Tim Richmond is in third. In fourth, after some more pit stops, it is Darrell Waltrip. The fifth position is Bill Elliott.
Terry Labonte still staying out on the track, but Allison is really closing in. Now, whether that strategy of putting on the left side tires has helped Allison that much, the others took on right side tires. Don't know what it is. Now, there's the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth place cars as they come into the picture. Waltrip running in fourth, Tim Richmond running in third position.
Now we're getting a look at the interval, and there's the second place cars. They swapped them around. We'll bring you up today on those standings. That second place car, Allison, white, number 22, stays right in there. Richmond in number 27, maintaining third, and there is Darrell Waltrip in the fourth position. Behind him is Bill Elliott in fifth. In the sixth position is Ricky Rudd. Seventh is Buddy Baker. Eighth is Dale Earnhardt. Ninth is Richard Petty. And in 10th at the present time is Morgan Shepherd.
And Bobby Allison is really closing in on Terry Labonte. He has cut that 4.5-second lead down to, you see, about 10 car lengths.
Ed, we need to get a report from the pits on those two cars. Here's Larry Nuber. He may be able to help us with this.
Well, we've been talking with the crew members of Terry Labonte, and you guys are right. Labonte has slowed down, and it is not intentional. The car is pushing. They did not get the right match of tires. They're really unhappy with the outside tires that are on the car right now, so Terry doesn't have much choice in the matter. He's got to slow down. They did say, of course, that they're going to go with one more pit stop. They think they can go the rest of the way once they stop one more time, and they hope they get a much better tire combination in that next rest stop.
Allison closing in. Bobby Allison closing ground. Winner of 3 events this year. Richmond, Dover, and Pocono is right there. Terry Labonte seeking his second Grand National win, the last one 1980 Darlington. There's that battle for third. There's the interval between the front two and the next three. Bobby Allison waiting around a lap car. Doesn't overplay his hand, does he, Ned?
No, he doesn't. He's a very meticulous driver, very smart race driver, and certainly one of the best on the circuit. Dale Earnhardt is in the pit for an unscheduled stop. Let's go to Mike Joyce.
Dale Earnhardt skids to a stop, and they're going to change left side tires on Bud Moore's Ford Thunderbird. One tank of gas is in, and they're having problems at the left front. The man dropped the tire, fell over, and had to right himself. Now on with the air wrench, and Earnhardt revs the engine impatiently, almost stalls it, but he gets away.
He was running 8th. He goes a lap down. As he pulls out, he goes a lap down. And you saw that pass the lead. Allison has reappropriated the front position and going into the second spot. It is Terry Labonte. Something really amiss on that. Is that like a tire equalizing? When you say bad set of tires, that's not exactly what they mean.
No, not really. It's a mismatched set of tires. Again, one tire would be bigger, and sometimes those things will grow even after they pump them up. And they normally have men in there. One man designated on each crew that continuously measures air pressure and circumference of the tires. And if you get one that has grown a little bit, it definitely affects the handling characteristics of the car. Now, they made a chassis adjustment on that car. We saw them when they made their pit stop. Maybe they went the wrong way.
With Earnhardt making that pit stop, Cale Yarborough is back to 10th, and back to 11th comes Harry Gant with Ron Bouchard 12th, Bodine running 13th, and 14th is Richard Brooks. And there are some who are not as overwhelmed with the blazing action of the Michigan 400 as others. Here's Bobby Allison commanding the race at 141 laps, now complete. 8 cars have retired. Here's your battle that is continuing for second place. And at the moment, it is number 11, Darrell Waltrip, in second with the third spot belonging to car number 27, Tim Richmond, and maintaining fourth is car number 9, Bill Elliott. That car number 15 is a lap down. Bill Elliott is a story unto himself. He has been Mr. Second Place, the new sentimental favorite. 7 times he has finished in second. He has never won. And the story of Bill Elliott is a story we investigated just a day ago. Down they come for the finish. Here comes Baker on the outside. Bill Elliott, 3 cars side by side fighting at the line. Who does it?
Anytime you're closer, you always go back and wonder what you could have done different to be better.
Second 3 times this year, Bill Elliott is the new sentimental favorite of NASCAR racing, and he suffers the disappointment of coming so close like at Charlotte.
That kind of situation that we see happening to you at Charlotte has to be as bitter a frustration as a guy can face in this business.
No doubt it is, because you spend so many hours preparing for a race, and especially when you're running good in a race. I felt like if it got down to the end of the race, I'd had as good a shot at it as anybody. But that's the situations you run into, and there's no control over it.
It isn't Bill Elliott. It's the Elliott brothers. And when Bill Elliott has trouble, like here at Charlotte, North Carolina, crashing with Bobby Allison, then his brothers, Ernie and Dan, are there to help share in the problem and help bring him back another time.
Everybody pulls their load, and that's what's important. I don't think you necessarily have to have as many people as some of the other teams.
Ernie doing the engine and me driving the race car has always been a helping hand in what we do, because we don't try to blame each other for things that happen. We all make mistakes, and if you're human, you're going to make mistakes.
And for the Michigan 400, his brothers have pushed him to the front row in qualifying.
I think every time I go out there, I do my best, and that's all I can do, and just keep trying.
4th place at the present time, and he's a guy that everybody on this tour likes, Ned.
Yes, they do. He's just a marvelous, really a refreshing type of an individual. Just a good country boy from Georgia that is really determined in this business, and he's got it going here today, running in 4th place right behind Waltrip.
That Bill Elliott, his dad owns a Ford agency. Everybody thinks that's, really top drawer. His father is the only salesman. His mother is the secretary, along with Bill Elliott's wife, Martha. And a happy Father's Day down in Dawsonville to the Elliots. Let's see what this kid's going to do. He is running 4th, and not that far away from his leaders. Allison stays out in front.
Now, we we saw Dale Earnhardt there in that crew. Now, he is at least one lap down. He came back for a second pit stop after we saw them change the left side tires on that car. That's one reason he's able to go as good as he's going right now. He has 4 fresh tires on the car.
Bobby Allison seeking another Grand National victory. It would be number 5 of this season. It would break a tie he has with Cale Yarborough in overall wins, which has him 3rd in the overall stage of the Michigan 400 here on CBS Sports Today. Next Saturday, see the WBC Featherweight Championship as the undefeated John De La Rosa takes on the champion Juan Laporte. And Billy Packer analyzes the upcoming NBA draft. All here next weekend on CBS Sports Saturday, beginning at 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central and Pacific time. The reason for this caution, a blown engine on one of the Chrysler products in the field, Buddy Arrington, erupting an engine, and here you see him retiring. He was well up in points a year ago, Ned. This year not working quite so well for him.
No, it isn't, Ken. He had a very good year in 1982, but 83 hasn't been as well for him as he points his Chrysler into the garage area. One of only 2 drivers driving the Chrysler products here in this race today.
He is the 9th retiree from the race. Also out is Dave Marcus. All the leaders have pitted, and it brings around a very usual kind of circumstance in NASCAR racing. Here's what's happening. We're 148 laps deep. That leaves 52 laps in the event. Now, Ned, how much fuel does it take to run from here to the finish line?
It'll take every bit they can pack into it, and you can rest assured that they have packed every bit into it that they possibly can. And I think that we'll see some that'll try to go the rest of the way. I think it'll really be dramatic down towards the end because some of them won't be able to.
1 week ago, Pocono, Pennsylvania, it looked like Bill Elliott might win because he made a late pit stop and gathered up some extra fuel. And at the end, he ran out of gas. Tim Richmond ran out of gas. Bobby Allison had it figured perfectly, right? Tim Richmond had to make a second pit stop because they had miscalculated on his car. Well, we're back down to that strategy, and I'm sure that down in the pits right now, they're going over those charts, over those clipboards, taking a look at just exactly how much mileage they can inch out of these cars to get to the checkered flag from here.
Well, they've been keeping very close records in the first 300 miles of this race. We're almost at the 300-mile mark, so they know how many laps they can run on a tank of fuel. Of course, now one thing they have to take into consideration when they start those calculations is how much drafting they're able to do. If they're running out front, they're going to burn more gasoline than they will if they're running back 2nd, 3rd, or 4th.
I believe we can get a word from Cale Yarborough. There's going to be at least another lap before they turn them loose. And I believe there's a black flag. Let's see, the console. No, they're running the cars through the dust out here. They've laid down some speedy dry, and it's kicking up some dust. So they'll take a lap to run that down. Buddy Arrington, let me explain, blew right here at the start-finish line. Erupted the engine, poured oil right in the racing groove up on top. So they're taking a lap here to pick up that speedy dry they lay down, this dry chemical that absorbs fluids that are spilled from cars. And that's why we have this extra lap now. Cale Yarborough, a little dusty out there for the moment?
Well, just a little bit dusty, Ken, where they put the oil dry down, but all in all, the racetrack seems to be getting a little bit better than it was when we started.
Is your race car getting better, Cale?
Well, not much, Ken. Looks like we missed a handle on it, and it's just not working as good as I'd like for it to work, but we made another chance adjustment on the last stop, so maybe it'll be a little bit better.
Cale, you're running in 10th position. You are in the lead lap on the latest rundown. Think you can pick up any here?
Well, we're going to have to pick up some. It's getting late in the race now. It's time to go if we're going to go.
Indeed it is. We're down inside of 50 laps this time by to the finish. Can you run on fuel to the finish from here?
I think we're going to give it a try. I don't know. You know, it's still a pretty good distance.
We may see him saying, "My kingdom for a pint of gas out here." Here's Mike Joy.
Big strategy conference going on right now in the Junior Johnson Darrell Waltrip pit. Junior conferring with his 3 crew chiefs on 2 key items. One, how much gas is actually in the car when they fueled it. Each of those 2 cans holds 11 gallons. There was still 1 gallon left in one of those cans. Secondly, the tire temperatures. And does the car have the right chassis set up to go the distance? They're voting right now. Do they go, or do they come in and make one last pit stop to be sure of going all the way? With 1 lap to go before the green, they'll have to go for it. Let's go to Larry Newber in Terry Labonte's pit.
And I'm with Dale Inman, the crew chief. Dale, that caution flag came at just the right time for you guys, didn't it?
Well, we were going to stop and change laps as quick as we got down to 50 laps to go, because we can run 50 laps pretty easy. And that last set of tires when we changed right side tires, the car started pushing, so I was going to change lefts and try to see if I could get it back like we had it before, and hopefully we got it squared away now with tires. And I really don't know, but we did have one super set of tires, and then when we had to change, it kind of got the car messed up a little bit, but there's still a lot of good cars out there, and there's 50 laps to go.
Well, you say you can go the distance for sure on what's left in the tank now.
Well, I say that, but if I run out, don't shoot me, but we should be able to make it.
Well, Dale Inman's been right more often than he's been wrong, Ken Squire. I'll bet you Labonte can go the rest of the way.
The man they call a decided advantage for that team, Dale Inman, calling his shot. In the background, for a moment, on pit road, you saw car number 27, Tim Richmond, duck in and take on a little more fuel. When they come by and take the green flag, there will be 49 laps remaining.
And I bet he didn't hold over half a gallon at that point, Ken, but that could make the difference at the end. We'll see.
Tim Richmond, the last car to come in, he falls to the tail end of the lap, but he's gambling. The others are going to have to pit between now and the finish. Pace car comes in. Field is ready to address the starter, Harold Kinder. Here we come with reported 18 cars still in the lead lap.
Bobby Allison is the leader. We see Dale Earnhardt right directly in front of him. Now Earnhardt is at least one lap down, but Bobby Allison leads him into turn one.
Bill Elliott is in second in the fourth. Here's Cale Yarborough fighting his way up through. Out of that 10th position. Skirmish is underway, and now we're down to it. Allison is getting around the lap car, Earnhardt, as he goes down the backstretch.
Allison's car has really been working very well here as Bill Elliott now tries to move on the inside of Dale Earnhardt so he can get up to Allison. Earnhardt, as we mentioned now, is at least one lap down. Meanwhile, on pit road, Ron Bouchard's car being pushed back into the garage area. The strike flag, which is the passing flag, being given to Dale Earnhardt.
And the blue flag with the yellow stripe is a passing flag. It means that you are being overlapped. It makes you aware of that. Of course, Earnhardt here, he's trying to get a lap back.
Yes, he is. He would like to get back in front of Bobby Allison. Then, if another caution should come out, that would put him right back into it. He made 2 unscheduled pit stops for tire changes, so that has him behind.
Bill Elliott is in third, right behind this yellow and blue number 15. That's the leader, Allison. Then comes that car of Earnhardt a lap down, and now we see a new man in third, Darrell Waltrip.
Waltrip beginning to make his move. He was strong early in this race. Now that car is back working again the way he had it earlier.
And you can see the car sliding, particularly going into number 1. This track was last paved, in 1977, and the asphalt is really seasoned, as you see there. It does look white. And they real time getting a bite. Here comes Waltrip moving on the leader, Bobby Allison.
He goes high. Here's Elliott going down on the inside as they come off of turn 2.
Bill Elliott taking a shot at Darrell Waltrip. Allison first. Waltrip still second. Deployed in third spot. Bill Elliott on the inside moving on, and Ricky Rudd is there as well. By this time, they'll complete 154 laps.
Again, the chips are down now. They got to know whatever they have in those things, they got to show it.
Bobby Allison is first. Waltrip is second. Ricky Rudd into third. Elliott to fourth. Cale Yarborough is up to fifth. Cale Yarborough moving into fifth position. Buddy Baker is sixth. Richard Petty is at seventh. There is Cale Yarborough. We're going to take you all the way around 360 degrees in this track. Our CBS Flyer ladder. Give you some idea of what the concentration level is for a driver here, Ned. I mean, all the time, these cuts that you make from camera to camera really don't give you the feeling that a driver gets where you just have to stay with it and bear on it all the time.
The concentration is very intense every moment, because especially when you're running in this kind of a pack at the speeds that they're running out there, you not only have to concentrate on what you're doing, but what the other fellow's doing around you.
Yarborough's moving to fourth. Yarborough is on the attack. You can see with our CBS onboard camera. And meanwhile, there's a battle up in front. You can see them stretching out, taking a different line into turn number 1. Waltrip there. The crowd likes this one.
And Darrell Waltrip has taken over the lead from Bobby Allison, and here's Ricky Rudd as he slips a little coming off of the turn. Here's Cale coming up on the inside.
Ricky Rudd on the outside in third. Cale Yarborough right there. You're with him, making the pass, going up for the lead. And not making it. Rudd holds him off.
But Cale drives a little deeper into the turn and appropriates the third position. Bobby Allison right on Darrell Waltrip's bumper in second place.
Now look at those two leaders bunched together. They begin to grasp. They're trying to get away from the field. They'd like to decide it between two cars, and they're trying to slip away while the others are fighting.
But look at Cale. He is really moving. That adjustment they've made is really working.
Yarborough is in it. He intends to win this one. Now remember, he won at Michigan a year ago with an onboard camera. Then he won Daytona. I'm beginning to think he likes these things.
He's having fun right now. All of them are really, even as intense as the concentration has to be, they're still having fun. They like to race, and they like this kind of racing.
Watch that steering wheel on Cale Yarborough's car. Now there you see Waltrip going high. Allison's going back in front. Bobby Allison going to first. Waltrip down on the outside in turn 4, down there in turn number 4, and it is Yarborough up to second place. Cale Yarborough making a late charge, is going for the lead. Cale Yarborough's taking first place. Mark it, lap 175.
And he made it look easy.
That's lap 157, 157. For Yarborough into first place, Allison in second. That's the first time he's led today. Lap 157, he's on his way. And now he looks out back and sees Bobby Allison in the rearview mirror.
You know, there was almost dejection in his voice when we talked to him a moment ago because the car had not been working that well for him today, but he did say they made that adjustment on it.
There's Judy Allison. Boy, she has been with him forever.
Yes, and they just became grandparents.
That's right.
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago.
He first started racing in Elliott, Florida, 24, 25 years ago. Judy Allison, I don't think she's missed a race. She, as much as Bobby, would like to see him win the national championship. I think it's going to go right down to those last races at Atlanta, Georgia, and then on to Riverside, California, decided. Cale Yarborough's out in front. Cale running limited schedule, not running the full 30 races, cutting back on his time. In the cockpit, spending a little more time at home, but when he's out, he goes all the way every race. There's just no such thing as second place for him. CBS Sports live coverage of the Michigan 400 will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
Heaven, Monday night, PM Magazine.
Working lap 162 on our CBS live coverage of the Michigan 400. Cale Yarborough leading Bobby Allison by just that much, but the story is the man on the warpath, Richard Petty. He's knocked down 5 cars in the last 3 laps, and Richard Petty in car number 43 has just taken over from Darrell Waltrip, the 3rd position.
That car is really moving. That's the first time we've seen him make a charge today. Again, I don't know if it's planned that way, if they made some adjustments on the car to get him to going, or maybe he was just laying back, but he's flat on the move now.
Here's a report on the first place car. Mike Joy is standing by with Waddell Wilson.
Waddell is Cale Yarborough's crew chief, and they've been making adjustments to that car all afternoon. What did you do on the last stop to get Cale to the front?
Well, we made a chassis adjustment, and it seemed to really respond to it. It's just a shame we couldn't have caught it early, and we could have run a lot better all day.
Do you have enough fuel to go the distance?
No, I think the only one that can make it is Bobby Allison. Because today he's been running like 8 or 10 laps more than the rest of us, and all the rest of us have been fitting about the same time.
Let's go to Bobby Allison's pits and Larry Newber.
How about it, Gary Nelson? Can you guys go the distance on the fuel you have now?
Well, yeah, we can make it all the way. We've got even a lap to spare this time.
A lap to spare.
Yeah. We're not too concerned about the fuel. Bobby's driving a pretty smart race right now. He's picked out the fastest car. He's trying to get as far ahead of everybody else that he can for the finish, and hopefully we'll just have one car to race.
Yarborough surprised you. You didn't know he was on the lead lap, did you?
Well, we knew he had him a lap down at one point, and he's pitted so far away from us, we weren't sure if he had stopped one more time or not. It looks now like he's the leader. We're second, so we're going to try and get as far away from the rest of the pack as we can, and then we'll have one to race instead of all those.
Well, everybody knows for sure by now that Cale is leading, but Gary told me before we went on camera, Ken, that they're going to get him.
Cale Yarborough, number 28. Bobby Allison, number 22, continuing to fidget with first place as they work lap 165 of the 200 laps in the Michigan 400. Back there in third is Richard Petty, who all of a sudden, Ed Jarrett's taking a very high line to the corners.
Yes, he is. We see him there now up next to the wall, so he's found a groove that's really working for him. One thing that does permit him to do is keep the RPMs up on that engine. He can go through the number.
Tim Richmond has come up to fourth and falling back to fifth. Darrell Waltrip.
He made that late pit stop, so it's an accomplishment to come up as far as he has, as we see Allison moving back in on Cale Yarborough once again. I believe he's content to sit there right now because he is helping Cale Yarborough to pull away from the rest of the field and conserving gas too. Now let's go back to the pits and Mike Joy.
We're at Ricky Rudd's pit, the number 3 car with Richard Childress. Does he have a problem, or is he just laying back?
Right now, it's going to really be close on the gas mileage, so we're trying to stay back and do some drafting and try to make it all the way. It's really going to be close, though.
It's going to be economy run for the Richard Childress team.
Battle for third place is also beginning to develop. Tim Richmond is showing some muscle in the backstretch. There's Richmond going underneath Petty. Petty back to fourth. Relegated to fourth as car number 27, Richmond, gets back in it. He's up to third spot. Back in the sixth position is that car number 3, Ricky Rudd. And Petty continues to fall back.
Well, he was running so strong a few moments ago. He'd come from far back in the pack, moved up to third place. Now Darrell Waltrip moving around on the inside, taking over the fourth position from Petty, or at least trying.
Buddy Baker is in seventh. Richard Petty won this race in 1974. Richard Petty, the all-time champion, 197 wins, 2 this year, still as strong as ever. But here is number 11, Waltrip, running wheel-to-wheel with Petty, who continues to use that high line, not backing that engine down a bit, getting up on the outside and keeping the rev counter right at the very top, on the red line. Richard Petty in car number 43. The leader, car number 28, Cale Yarborough in the Michigan 400.
17 hours. That's how long it took us to paint this house with the brush. Then we painted it in just 6.5 hours with the Wagner power paint. This wicker chair took over an hour.
With 31 laps to go, Cale Yarborough leads by a nip over Bobby Allison. Tim Richmond is in third, Petty fourth, Waltrip fifth. As the struggle continues down to the end of this race, Cale Yarborough, a big surprise, having a very poor first half of the race. There is Tim Richmond right in behind Buddy Baker.
That's Ricky Rudd.
Right,
they're running in 6th and 7th position. And they've been running in a very tight draft for the last 5 or 6 laps again. That could be working to their advantage. They're gaining slightly on those first 5 cars.
The leaders in the back straightaway. Cale Yarborough, winner of some $3,900,000 in his career, and right behind him, Bobby Allison, who in NASCAR racing's collected some $4 million, still continuing to fight. And here is that battle continuing between Tim Richmond and the 27 on the bottom and Richard Petty on the outside as they are fighting for third position. Giving instructions there in the grandstand. Let's go to Larry Newberg.
Robin Pemberton on the radio with Richard Petty today. Can you guys go the distance with the fuel you have?
I can't hear you now. What?
Can you go the distance on the fuel you have in the car right now?
We're going to try, Larry. It's going to be a gamble. It's very close, within a lap or 2 laps. We're going to see what happens.
We haven't seen Richard really challenge for the lead yet. Is he going to give it a shot here in the next 20 laps?
If he don't in the next 20, it'll be too late. So we're going to see. We're going to try.
At the other end of pit road, another one of these stories among the leaders, Mike Joy in the Darrell Waltrip pit.
Here's Jeff Hammond, one of the co-crew chiefs on the Waltrip car. Have you got enough gas to finish? Yes, we believe we've got enough. We've been figuring it pretty close all day. It's going to be, real close, but right now we're able to draft and run behind the cars. It's going to increase our gas mileage. So right now, the way we got it configured, we're going to have about a lap extra as far as gas is concerned. We can run an extra lap. These cars hold 22 gallons. They get about 3 to 3.5 miles per gallon. The Ford team fitted right next door. Ernie Elliott, the crew chief, I asked him, will you stop again for gas? Do you have enough to go the limit? He says, I'll tell you what, we're not going to stop. They're out there to run the distance.
Again, cutting it down to have 1 lap left. That's cutting it pretty close. Now, actually, on a track like this, they'll get from 4.5 to 5 miles to the gallon of gasoline. And if they're in the draft, they can get closer to that 5 miles, which they might work for here.
13 cars remain in the lead lap. Out back in 10th is Bodine. In 10th is Bodine. In 11th is Labonte. In 12th is Morgan Shepherd, and Lake Speed is back in 13th. We're back inside Cale Yarborough's car, looking back at the rest of the field. Remember, this is your lead car. Cale Yarborough with our CBS camera leading in that second position, Allison, as they pick up a lap car.
And Ken, we saw him pass that lap car and immediately went back in front of it. What he was trying to do is break the draft away from Bobby Allison back there. Of course, Allison was able to pick up the draft of that car.
Caution is out.
Beginning to pull away.
Yellow is out. A caution is on the track. And they're pointing up. I wonder if we have some weather somewhere.
They're pointing to turn 3 at the moment. There could be some debris on the racetrack as the leaders come back to the line. Of course, they get the caution and they'll be slowing her down.
It is total cloud cover here at the present time, and it is debris, Ned. Debris is on the track, which has brought out the 4th caution of the day.
And all of that strategy of can they go the rest of the way goes out the window now, because they'll come in, put on new tires, give it their best shot. If they have a special set of tires, we've heard several of them say that they had a good set at one time or another, they'll pick out their very best, put it on there now, fill it up with gas, no problem going the rest of the way.
Well, those that are in the lead lap have worked out all of their problems, and it means we have 13 cars ready to battle for the checkered flag.
I'll tell you, this is going to be something. I'm glad I'm here.
Cale Yarborough and Bobby Allison pretty much headed their own way over the last 20 or 30 laps, but you can be sure in these final adjustments that Tim Richmond trying to get back on the winning side of the ledger. Richard Petty. All of those drivers will be in. Waltrip getting a little bit of it. There's the debris on the track.
And it doesn't take much over there, Ken. Those cars should run over that. These tires are very thin. They only have about 5 or 6 30-seconds of rubber on them and pump very tight. So it doesn't take much to puncture a tire. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Well, gas will not be an issue now, Ned, as Darrell Waltrip tosses a soft drink out the window. Right side tires. Junior Johnson reaches in, and he is making the chassis adjustment on the left rear of the car. You can see him cranking that wrench. Let's go to Larry Newber.
Well, Richard Petty came to a stop when they decided to change tires all the way around as they have on Tim Richmond's car. We expect most of the crews to completely change the rubber. Petty getting away with seemingly no problems. Richmond's car still back up on the jack. Action continues at the other end of the pit. Mike Joy.
They have the hood up on the Bill Elliott car. Ernie Elliott reaching in, looking at the motor, coming over to talk to his brother, and the motor is shut off. It could be the end of the day for the hometown favorite here.
Tough break for Bill Elliott as they go back under the hood on that car number 9. He's been among the leaders here most of the day, but something has gone wrong under there. They're going to try to fix it. You see one of the crew members running backwards. That was Dan Elliott, one of the brothers of Bill Elliott, as he runs back across pit wall to get an extra tool or something that they'll work on it, but they're going to have to hurry because the pace car is coming off of the 4th turn. They'll go a lap down here if they aren't careful. 13 cars were in the lead lap. If he goes a lap down, that would only be 12 in the lead. You can see the lead cars now as they come off of turn 4. Bill Elliott is still in the pit.
At least one more lap, we believe, under caution. Pace car coming by. And there is at least one more lap under caution. When Petty made his pit stop, they dropped a tire that rolled down across the pit road, and one of the crew members had to go and retrieve it. Any potential for a penalty there, Ned?
I don't think so, Ken, not to my knowledge, and I think I know the rules pretty well. That will happen sometimes. Of course, the NASCAR officials are always there, and sometimes even they will catch them, but they hope that one of the crew members will. But when they jerk those tires off, and especially if there is a little bit of a hill from where they are, or grade that's down the other side of the pit, the tire will roll away.
They are working the 177th lap. The pace car has the field down in turns 1 and 2. Debris has brought out the 4th caution of the day. 11 cars have retired. The latest retirees include Mark Martin and Ron Bouchard. Here's a report from Mike Joy.
They are changing the oil pump drive belt on Bill Elliott's car, the Ford Thunderbird. That belt apparently vibrated. The bracket vibrated loose. They've got to change it to get him back into this race.
A new engine in the car had kept him right in the hunt. Now problems arising for Bill Elliott in car number 9 as he continues the search for his first Grand National win.
Well, it's interesting that his car owner, Harry Melling, has the Melling oil pump, as you see on the shirt of one of the drivers there, but it's not the oil pump that gave him the trouble, it's the belt.
As they come by, they'll have 177 laps down, and they will have Bobby Allison in first, and Harry Gant comes into second. Moving up to third will be Morgan Shepherd, who was out back in that hunt for a while. Then in the fourth position, Cale Yarborough.
Ken, we'll have to say that there are 12 drivers who are still capable of winning this race because there are 12 cars still in the lead lap. And as we said earlier, you can rest assured as they get the signal for one more lap, and we'll be back to green flag racing. But they are giving it their absolute best shot now. They put on the best set of tires that they can measure up down there in the pit. Of course, filled it up with gas, made those chassis adjustments. They're ready.
Now, when you say measure up, got the stacker just right, hopefully to get everything they can out of these cars.
So that the chassis will work absolutely perfectly. Now, those tires will, as you pump them up, they'll come out different sizes, even though they're made in the same molds. In Akron, Ohio, when you pump them up, they come out different sizes, and sometimes you will purposely do that if you want to put a little more stagger in it or put a little more weight from the right side to the left side. You'll pump that right front tire up a little bit and stretch it to give it that advantage.
In the fifth spot, Darrell Waltrip. In sixth, Ricky Rudd. In seventh, Buddy Baker. In eighth is Bodine. Ninth is Tim Richmond. 10th is Terry Labonte. 11th is Richard Petty. 12th is Lake Speed as we complete the leaders in the lead lap. 12 cars running the lead lap. They pick up some momentum here. Again, our CBS congratulations to Hurley Haywood and Al Holbert. The winners of Le Mans today, if you're just joining us, are from the United States, and Mario and his son Michael and Andretti drove to an incredible third-place finish. A great day for America in motorsport.
With 22 laps to go, this is going to be like a Saturday night shootout, Ken Squire. 12 cars still in the lead lap. Unfortunately, Bill Elliott is not one of them. He's still on pit road. We're about to get the green again.
Down to the line. Green is on. This is it. It's a charge to the finish. Allison up in front. Harry Gant is in second. Gant with that one stunning great victory at Darlington earlier this year on the granddaddy of the Southeast Super Speedways. Temporarily, our in-car camera will be down for just a few laps. We'll have it back to the finish for you.
And back in the pack, we see Richard Petty going very high, taking that same line again. Bobby Allison is the leader, but Petty trying to find a groove that'll work for him back in the pack.
Richard Petty searching. There he is on the high side. You can see him rolling around some of the lap traffic, beginning to knock down cars in that very high groove. 179 laps complete. There's Petty in tight traffic. Terry Labonte making a quick move to the inside. Kyle Petty staying down out of the way. He gets lapped. He gives plenty of room to everybody else.
Well, here comes Cale Yarborough trying to get back up to where he was when the caution came out. Bobby Allison is the leader now, but Yarborough doesn't like that.
Remember that 15, the blue and yellow car, Earnhardt, laps down. Not running in the lead lap. Yarborough in second. Gant is in third. Back straightaway into turn 3. Countdown continues toward the checkers here in the Michigan 400. Bobby Allison stays in front, and look at Petty rimride. He goes up around Bodine. He goes after Waltrip on the high side. Down out of turn number 4. Bobby Allison is being passed by Cale Yarborough. 180 complete, 20 to go, and Yarborough's taking the lead at turn 1.
Showing amazing strength here. He did not have that earlier in the race, as we said. They continue to work on it, make chassis adjustments, and staying off. Gant still running in the third position. Allison would like to hook up with Yarborough, try to pull away from the field as they were before the caution came out. That way he would only have one car in the race, as Jerry Nelson told us earlier. They would rather do that than have the whole field.
Fourth is Baker. And there is about a 15-car separation. Here's Bodine trying to move back in on Petty. 12 cars in the lead lap as we roll down to a finish in the Michigan 415th annual for $311,000. Gabriel and Allison 1 and 2. Baker is going to third. Gant falls to fourth. The Michigan 400. The question as to who will win will be in doubt. Right back to the checkers another year. Cale Yarborough and Bobby Allison trying to decide this race between them, but a caution has come out. The 5th caution of the day. Has Kyle Petty had a problem? We're going to look at it now. It's going to group all 12 leaders together once again for a stab at the lead at the checkered flag. The top of screen, you can see Kyle Petty losing out of turn 2, Ned, and away he goes.
Kyle was running in very heavy traffic there. Apparently, you can see him clip the inside of the wall, throws him back in the right direction. He sat there for a little bit. Apparently, the engine died. He was trying to get it fired up again, but he has pulled away since.
185 complete when they come by this time. Cale Yarborough and Bobby Allison had hoped to get away in a draft from the other 12 cars in that lead lap. There's Kyle Petty around the track trying to stay up in the lap he was in. Cale Yarborough and Bobby Allison trying to stay in that lead lap and then break away from the field. Now, onto pit road comes Tim Richmond, Darrell Waltrip, Harry Gant, and here's Mike Joy.
They're going for brand new tires again on the Waltrip car. Some of these teams, notably Harry Gant, are using used tires on this last pit stop. Tires they ran earlier in the race that they knew would work well. Jeff Hammond slings that jack around like it didn't weigh 65 pounds, as Waltrip will get 4 fresh tires to run the last few laps. Time is all important here because speed getting off of pit road under caution determines where you line up on the restart.
Well, also making stops now, as you mentioned, Mike Joy, is Harry Gant in the car number 33. Morgan Shepherd was also in, and Tim Richmond for 4 tires.
We can talk to Cale Yarborough now in car number 28. Cale, Ken Squire, Ned Jarrett, top side here. Well, you can throw out all the strategy, Cale. It's right down to Daytona again. You just got to stand on it.
Oh, well, that's true, Ken. You know, we elected not to stop on this caution flag and change tires. I hope we made the right decision. I see some of the guys did change. But it's going to be tough to win. The car is working a lot better now, but it's still going to be a tough race to win.
Hell, that last adjustment they made on it seemed to really work.
Well, it did, Ned. The adjustment helped, and also the racetrack cooling down has helped my car an awful lot.
How much has it cooled down out there, Cale?
Well, it feels like it's cooled down probably 15, 20 degrees, which that much on a racetrack makes a big difference.
Now watch that pace car as it comes to the start-finish line. Cale Yarborough coming down, the leader. And as it comes to the line, if the lights go off, that indicates, and it does, that in one lap they will go green. When the lights go off in one lap, that tells the field they will go green. Any thoughts about how you're going to pull this one out of the bag, Mr. Yarborough? Cale, any thoughts about how you're going to be able to fend off those 11 other guys in the same lap? Apparently he's talking to his crew at this moment, Ned.
Well, I'm sure that he's talking with them, that he's asking them how many of those fellows change tires back there behind them, and the strategies that they have. And the strategy now has to be, there'll be 15 laps to go when they return, 30 miles, so the strategy will be just run flat out.
Yarborough and Allison, they elected to stay out. Now the others have put on fresh rubber. How much of a difference can it make?
That could make a big difference, and as Mike Joy pointed out, the car number 33 of Harry Gant chose to put on some tires they'd had on earlier, which worked very well for them. They'll do that a lot of times. After those tires cool down, they know that they're the right size, just was the right combination for them. So
you really only get 4 or 5 really fast laps out of tires, don't you?
That's true. They'll slow down after the temperature builds up. That's the case everywhere they go. The tires just simply will slow down some, but that might be the advantage that you need to get back up there.
Bill Elliott has retired. Bad break for Bill Elliott, car number 9. He'll have to wait another day to try and win his first Grand National race. Elliott is out of the race. Field is in turn number 3, preparing for a start. The situation is this. When they come by, they will have completed lap 187. 187 will be in the book. There will be 13 to go. Cale Yarborough will be in the lead. Bobby Allison in second. Buddy Baker in the Wood Brothers car will be running third. Ricky Rudd will be in fourth. Green comes out. Here they are on the charge. In the 6th position is Richard Petty. 7th is Bodine. Up to 8th is Morgan Shepherd. 9th is Lake Speed. And 10th is Darrell Waltrip as they go into turn 1.
And it's heavy traffic in turn 1. Cale takes it right down to the inside. A groove that's been working well for him since they got those adjustments right. You saw Petty going very high once again. And here is the Allison continuing to stay right on the back bumper. I thought he was going to make a move, Ken, but I believe he's going to be content to sit there for a little bit.
Waiting it out. Some of those cars with fresh rubber, they may try and attack in the next couple of laps.
But Allison has Buddy Baker right on his bumper, and Baker might not be content to sit back there in third position, so Allison will have to act accordingly.
They switch positions at 175, 180 miles per hour, looking inside and outside. Down they come into turn number 1. We are told that Petty's car is really pushing. That's what's carrying to the outside. That break for Petty. There goes Baker down to the inside. Sneaks a peek and pulls back in third. Ricky Rudd, the number 3 car, is in fourth. And Yarborough maintains that lead. Richard Petty in fifth. There is Labonte and Petty side by side. Terry Labonte, number 44, in fifth. No, Richard Petty, number 43, in fifth. Turn 3.
Petty continues to take that high line, but his car's pushing. That's the way that he has to drive. It'll work best. Here's Labonte coming back up on the inside.
The entire place standing 70,000 strong, watching this Michigan 400 as it moves down to 11 laps to go. 12 cars battling to win it. $311,000 at stake. You can see Yarborough's car taking those bumps. That car just doesn't look rigid now.
Petty all the way to the wall. He gathers it back in. Amazing driving ability there by Richard Petty.
About a quarter of a second, and that is not reaction. That's pure instinct. Richard Petty that pulled him out of that one. Back straight away. Yarborough trying to pull away as Buddy Baker gets down a little low in turn number 3. Now they close up again. Here they are, coming by. And Harold Kinder indicates 10 to go. Looking in his rearview mirror. That's what Cale Yarborough sees. And the crowd here standing for the last 10 laps to see who will win it. The 15th Michigan 400. It's always been a dandy race. It is one of the most beautiful tracks on the entire $10 million 30-race tour. And today, it's giving us one of our very best. For a while, it looked like Terry Labonte might make it a walkover. And then the same situation began to develop with Allison. Then the cautions came out. Here we go again.
Yarborough continues to stand. Back to build up a 2-car length lead, but here's Allison as he picks up the draft. Took right back up on it. Doesn't take long once you get back in the draft.
Petty way high. Behind those front 3, there's about 20-car interval. To number 44, Terry Labonte running 4th, then in 5th. Going down into turn number 1, it is Ricky Rudd.
Labonte would like to gain the speed that won him the pole position here for this race. At one point in the race, he was the class in the field, but then he hasn't been able to run that strong since. But he's now beginning to show some strength, pull back up to 4th place, but he's got some catching up to do.
In the second grouping, Tim Richmond, who came in and changed tires, has now pulled up to 5th. That has put Rudd back to 6th. And in 7th is Darrell Waltrip. Into 8th is Bodine. Richard Petty running high in the track at 9th. Front 3. There they are. There you see Petty way up high, out of 4th. There's no room to block here. You can't make a defensive move, which these guys like to do sometimes. That's not in the book when you run here on the Michigan track. It's plenty wide to get 3 cars side by side in the corner.
And the banking is perfect all the way up. The banking is the same in every group of the racetrack, so that does let them run wherever they want to if they have a car that's working good. And they have those cars pretty well dialed in now. Yarborough has pulled away a little bit. We'll see if Bobby Allison is able to fend off Buddy Baker.
He's pulled out a little distance that time. Cale Yarborough, you saw him win here on CBS in that great classic, the Daytona 500. And then he won in Atlanta. Really won his 3rd race of the season here today. He's won 76 Grand National races. He's tied Bobby Allison with 76 wins each. And they are running 1st and 2nd as we get down to the end of this one. Both of them flew their private planes into this race.
There's Tim Richmond moved into the picture. He's up to 4th now after coming in and changing tires. He might be the sleeper in this race. That might have been a very smart move that they came in and put on those 4 fresh tires. He's come from the back of the pack now to 4th place.
And when they combine this time, there will be 6 laps to go.
Yarborough's advantage is building. And if they're going to have to, Buddy Baker's going to have to make a move sooner or later. And when they do, that's going to give Cale Yarborough an even better advantage. But he's got looking up in his mirror now as Tim Richmond moves into the picture there. And say, hey, what's he up to? Can I go ahead and move around Bobby Allison at this point?
And if Richmond, deployed in 4th, starts to make those moves, starts to pull up through, that might slow down Allison and Baker and give Yarborough the opportunity of looks like another time from inside the Harry Ranier-owned Wado Wilson prepared car. And here comes Richmond. Richmond is down the inside. He's making his charge. He is going after Baker. He hasn't. Richmond now is the fastest car on the track. But look at the advantage Yarborough's gathering up, Ned.
Yes, even the battle for third has given him that advantage up there because they break that draft a little bit. Allison was able to move away by a couple of car lengths, but here comes Richmond right back up on the back bumper of Bobby Allison.
Well, he may carry the camera, but right now Yarborough's not interested in show business. He's trying to get away. He's moving down into turn number 1, the 20 car length advantage, but second place is the issue.
Richmond was loose going into the turn. He almost was around the Bobby Allison car, but he got crossways going into the turn, had to drop back to third. Here's Darrell Waltrip coming into the picture.
Bobby Allison lying there in second. You can be sure that Darrell Waltrip back there in that 6th position now is on the attack. Less than 5 laps to go.
Waltrip now is up to the 4th position, Ken.
Lake Speed, who been running 12th, is on pit road very slowly. Trouble on Lake Speed's car number 1. He's out of the race. Bad break for Lake Speed. Kid from Mississippi, former world champion Carter. Go-kart champion is out of this race. Awesome on the car. Yarborough pulling away on turn number 1 using a very high line, going higher and higher all the time. Battle is for second place. Battle for second position as they hit turn 3. There he is. Richmond is there right beside Allison. They're side by side out of turn 2.
Coming very close as they come off, and Richmond takes the position, and here's Darrell Waltrip moving up in 4th place. Terry Labonte is right on his bumper. Allison would like to move back around, but he can do nothing about it as Richmond begins to pull away.
And the shuffling of positions has put Cale Yarborough further out in front with now 3 laps to go. Cale Yarborough in car number 28 comes to the line, and you see the interval as they go by the starter. You should see the starter right about there. Well, you would have seen it. There he is across the line. And the battle is all for second. It looks like a replay of Daytona, except Bill Elliott isn't in it. Cale Yarborough drawing away, and then the rest of the cars in pursuit are lining up to struggle for second place money today.
Cale has to like what he sees in his rearview mirror as they battle for that position. That is absolutely working to his advantage.
There's Yarborough down into turn number 3. Richmond is in second. Allison in third. Darrell Waltrip, a nice comeback effort, is up into 4th. Terry Labonte is in 5th. Two-lap indicator on the field. And there you saw the starter stand. Harold Kinder holding out 2 fingers, which they can see. And now he knows officially. I'm sure they're telling him on his radio. And he's into his last 2 laps. Boy, he really shuffled there, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He might have gotten in that turn a little too hard, but he had a big enough lead that he could shuffle it around, get it back under control, and continue to go on.
Well, a lot of drivers don't like to have the CBS onboard camera. We go through a list of many of them and ask them about this onboard camera. Cale Yarborough, after winning here last year, said, I want that thing at Daytona. And Harry Ranier, his car owner, said, we wouldn't run without it if you guys are going to be around. And here's Cale coming out of the 4th turn area another time. But his lead is dwindling. There's a white flag, 1 lap to go. And definitely, 27 is gathering ground. Going down into turn number 1, Tim Richmond is tied up in a draft. He's trying to close up a little. Last lap.
A good battle between Darrell Waltrip and Terry Labonte. Labonte was up the side of Waltrip for the 4th position, but Waltrip now back in front of him.
There you see the interval. Cale Yarborough in first. In that second place, Tim Richmond. And in third is Bobby Allison. Looks like it's going to come down for second place at the finish line between Richmond and Allison. Cale Yarborough drawing away 15 car